Yes. What's going on, everybody? It is that week. UFC 300, the one we've all been waiting for. And UFC 299 was fantastic, but this one is just as good. We're ready to go. 13 fights. I mean, an absolutely stacked main card, an absolutely stacked prelim card, an absolutely stacked early prelim card. And I'm here to break down all 13 of those fights with you guys so that we can all find ways to stack cashed tickets like flapjacks for this event, for this best event of the year, the best card that we've seen in a very, very, very long time. And I am fired up to break it down with you guys here today, live, Tuesday night, 10 o'clock Central Time, right here on your Uncle Weezy's YouTube channel. I'm fired up for this one, you guys. From the very first fight, Garbrandt versus Figueiredo, we just got banger after banger after banger. We're going to have the UFC debut of Kayla Harrison, 16-1, two-time judo gold medalist in the Olympics. We've got a lot of very intriguing fighters on this card, and we're going to figure out who's going to win these fights. We're going to figure out what bets have value, and we're going to figure out how to make these bookies cry while we're making money watching these fights. I just got back from a 2-week vacation, went to France, went to Italy, saw some beautiful sights, was in Paris when I was in France. When I was in Italy, I saw Pisa, I saw Lucca, I saw Rome. I mean, it was a phenomenal trip. Didn't do any content last week. No bets last week. 2 weeks ago, only one bet. It didn't cash. It was a parlay. The Turkali Aslan under 1.5 rounds was in there. But the dog pick of the week cashed. Manon Fiorot at plus 165. Ass shaving of the week cashed at Keelan Loughran at minus 350. So, we had a good week, I guess, that week. But I'm looking to have a much better week this week, and I'm looking to make some money watching these fights. So I've got all these fights written up. I'm ready to break them down with you guys here in the chat. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. We got Colby Saul in the room saying, "Oi." We got There Will Be Blood saying, "Oi, can't stay up. We'll watch the replay, Unk." And you'll enjoy it. I promise you, man. We got Sergeant Jinkies in the room with the Alex Pereira picture there and his avatar saying, "Let's make bank, Unk. Best of luck this week." We got longtime supporter of the show, Victor De Jesus, in the room saying, "Oi, yes, what's up, Weezy in chat? What an amazing card this weekend." And that it is, my man, when TH is saying, "Oi, what's up, Weezy? Can't wait for Saturday. You and me both." My guy Daz Files is in the room saying, "Oi, hope everyone smashes this card. Best card ever, obviously." Daz Files, I know you're in the hospital. Best wishes from me. Hopefully you feel really better really soon and you're ready to go. But I know that even from a weakened condition in a hospital bed, that you're going to shave the bookies' asses this weekend for UFC 300. So I'm looking forward to doing it right alongside with you. We got Volkan Ardich in the room saying, "Let's go. What's up, Weezy? Hope you have a good day and let's catch. Let's absolutely do it." Presidente Pedro in the room saying, "Oi," with the flapjacks. We got Cuban Assassin saying, "What it do, Weezy? UFC 300. We must work on Weezy Con for 2025. Our first bookings, Keith Peterson and his punk band, sponsored by the Newport Cigs and the Kim Winslow Kissing Booth, sponsored by Two Whips." I love it. Always good to have the Cuban Assassin hanging out in here and bring back Kim Winslow for UFC 300 as one of the refs. That would be awesome. We got Rem Dog in the room saying, "Oi." We got K-Dog in the room saying, "Oi, T.O. Weezy, we made it. UFC 300 is upon us. Let's make it to one to remember and stack them. P.S. Glad you had such a great vacation and a little break from content. And we're going to have another week off next week. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, man, it was nice to get that week off and to punish myself. I'm doing like 14 shows this week. So this is only show number 2 of the week. We're gonna have like another 2 tomorrow. We'll have another 2 on Thursday, another 2 on Friday, another one on Saturday. It's going to be crazy, but it's UFC 300. We gotta put in the work for the biggest card of the year. We got Yippee Kaye saying, yes, Weezy, it is great to have you back in action. I hope your trip was amazing, man. It certainly was. We got the Cuban assassin laughing my ass off for sure. We got my guy Clint from the Die Hard MMA podcast in the room saying, oh, what is up, Clint? I know he's got a big ass bet on Jamal Hill, the pride of Grand Rapids, Michigan, for this card. We got Lucas Olzawi saying, I just finished UFC 300 countdown show fire, he said. We got Daz File saying, Clinton the house, good luck with the Hill Max bet. He's got the same thing. Teron Brown saying, what's up, Uncle? And oi, we got Paku in the room saying, oi, great to see you, Uncle. Hope you're doing very well. Definitely doing great. Back from vacation, Paku. We got Teron Brown saying we're finally here. Thank God, UFC 300. We got Bob Spikerman saying, boss. We got Diehard saying, what's up to Daz Files? Thank you. We got Not in the AM Bro saying, Weezy, is Hill the only high-ranked fighter who crosses his feet every fight in his stand-up? He does do that sometimes, but you know, the thing is, his striking metrics at the UFC level are nothing short of phenomenal. So I can't wait to talk about that fight with you guys. We got my guy DFS by the numbers in the room saying, oi! We got Broke DGen saying, finally it's here, UFC 300. Jim Miller will be at UFC 400. Hopefully, we can only hope, man. Tehran saying, I'm so glad the UFC started back to letting their fighters wear their own custom designed shorts again. Agreed, man. That's awesome. We got Broke DGen saying even if Jim Miller retires, he should come back for 400. He's not even that old yet. We got Paul Robertson in the room saying, you what's up in the house, y'all? We got we got Josh Frick saying, did you find BSD's chin in France? No, I did not. I did not see BSD. I did not see any chins on the ground. But yeah, man, he got knocked the fuck out by Dustin Poirier the last time out. That is for sure. Broke DGen saying Jamal Hill will knock out Alex. I believe that Izzy KO destroyed him. We got M the Great saying, oi, oi, oi. We got Broke DGen saying he didn't wake up for 3 minutes. And then when he did, his body was limping. He couldn't get up. Paku saying, question, Weezy, how's the prop template coming along and the probability show? Will it be on Patreon this week? Yes, we've got probability is going to be on YouTube this week. I'm planning on doing it tomorrow night after the DFS show on Pub Sports Radio, 9:15 Central Time. I think Brady's going to join me for that if he can. I know that he's a very busy man right about now, but I'm going to be putting together all those templates tomorrow and ready to do not only just the prop template, which we already have right here for all the fights on this card, which I can actually just show you that right now. Or no, damn. Sorry. Let's do that. And yeah, I've got the prop template already ready. I just got to get the betting template ready with the new templates that I have for all 13 fights. And we'll find these spots that stick out and find the plus EV spots that we can do. So probability 9:15 Central Time right here on this channel tomorrow. We got Daz Files in the room. Ring a ding ding, you guys, with the donation saying, all out of the hospital now. Thanks, Weezy. They KO'd me and shocked my heart back to normal rhythm. Best of luck, everyone. Thank you so much for the donation, Daz Files. And it's good to hear that that heartbeat is back to the normal rhythm and that they got it back on point for you so that you can get nervous again, gambling a shit ton of money and get that heart pumping and beating for you watching UFC 300 while you stack cash tickets like flapjack. So thank you so much, Daz Files, for the donation to the show. And I'm glad to hear that you're feeling better, brother. That's awesome to hear, man. K-Dog saying, by the way, Chicago does have the best pizza. Yeah, I talked about that on Stat Diggers on Sunday. Yeah, Chicago pizza, best pizza in the world. Just got back from Rome, just got back from Italy. Tried Italy pizza in a few different places, and yes, Chicago pizza, absolutely undefeated. K-Dog, thank you for agreeing. We got 138 MMA. My guy Tyler in the room saying, Weezy, glad I made it to this one, man. Yeah, we got some great fights to break down today, Tyler. Looking forward to it here. Tehran's got Hill by KO, and he thinks Justin's going to put a beating on Max. Tyler's saying, also looking forward to our show together over on the Couch Warriors channel this Thursday. Yes, sir. I will be over there on the Couch Warriors channel doing a panel with Tyler, Couch Warrior, Pepe Sylvia, Lou Betcha, myself, UFC 300, star-studded cast. Ice Viking saying, awesome, Daz, let's keep that ticker ticking. Let's get it. And Paku saying, only asking how it was going because you said there was a few coding issues. I guess you've tuned it up. There were a couple of coding issues, and there's still some stuff that I don't like about how I can get all the betting templates on the same page like I do with the prop template. The new template that I have has some coding issues still in terms of me being able to display it in a way where I can get all the fights in the same spreadsheet. I have to change a little bit of what I've done, and luckily there's a week off next week. And then we got our guy Ngui in the room saying, "Oh, Weezy's back again. Let's go." But we got a lot of work to do. 50 of you here live hanging out. If you want to get access to these great stats, join the Patreon down at the address that you see down there below. You get access to the prop template and the advanced stats template here that you see for all of these fights. You got already 3 people on here beside myself looking at all these stats that I curate and display every single week for every single card of the UFC action all year. So come join that Patreon. Best way to support the show and support the content that I put out, and I work really hard to put out here on YouTube for you guys every week. 13 fights to break down. Let's get into it. The very first fight of the night. And what a first fight of the night it is. It is going to be Deiveson Figueiredo, the Deuce de Guerra, at minus 310 going up against Cody No Love Garbrandt at plus 260. Fight doesn't go to decision here. Is juiced up to minus 180 for this fight. Let me get these stats on the screen for you guys. And there we go. And let's talk about the trends first for this fight. Now, Figgy is going to be making his second appearance at bantamweight. He's coming off a unanimous decision win as a plus 110 underdog over Rob Font. That was back in December of 2023. Prior to that, Figgy had 4 consecutive title fights versus Brandon Moreno, where he went 1 win, 2 losses, and 1 draw over that span. Figgy was always a huge flyweight, and that cut was always difficult for him. So he's closing out his career up at bantamweight, and he certainly will have the opportunity to perform better on fight day, not making that crazy cut down to 125 anymore. And Cody Garbrandt is 3 wins and 5 losses over his last 8 fights, but he's currently on a 2-fight winning streak over Trevin Jones as a minus 175 favorite, and then Brian Boom Kelleher as a minus 190 favorite. Prior to that, Garbrandt had lost 5 of his last 6 and frankly looked washed due to the fact that his chin looked to be permanently cracked. Cody took a year and 4 months off between the loss to Kai Kara France by first round KO down at 125 pounds. And since then has looked much better back up at his natural weight class. This is a decent sized step up in competition for Cody Garbrandt, going from 5-star Jones and Brian Kelleher to the former flyweight champion in Deiveson Figueiredo. And at the time of writing, Figgy's around a minus 290 favorite, but now he's up to minus 310. So Deiveson Figueiredo is going to have a 3-inch reach advantage in this fight. He's got the overall experience advantage with 7 more fights, 75 more minutes of cage time, 1 more year as a pro. And he also has the UFC experience advantage with 1 more fight and 45 more minutes of octagon time. Deiveson has power and precision on the feet. He's got a 2.73% distance knockdown percent that you see right there, and a 51% distance striking accuracy, which is well above average for the division. And he's also got the strength of schedule advantages. He fights the slightly more experienced guys overall with the better win-loss ratios, and particularly in his wins. You can see a 1.76 win-to-loss ratio, 88 wins and 50 losses is the combined record of his opponents, while Cody Garbrandt's wins are over guys that are barely over 500 at 48 and 43, despite the fact that he's a former bantamweight champion. 1.12 win-loss ratio compared to 1.76 for Deiveson in his wins. So yeah, got a little bit of a strength to schedule advantage here for Deiveson Figueiredo as well. Now, Cody Garbrandt's 3.5 years younger than Deiveson is. He's going to be 3 inches taller, and he's got power and elusiveness on the feet. He's got an even better distance knockdown percent than Deiveson Figueiredo does at 2.98%. And 63% distance striking defense is actually a lot better than the 53% defense that Figueiredo has. He's got great speed and great footwork, does Cody Garbrandt. He's only been taken down 3 times in 14 fights. And over 90% of his octagon time, as you can see right there, is spent at distance striking range. So he's very good at keeping fights standing, which is where he wants them to be because he's usually the better boxer. But these guys are both similar fighters. They both rely on their speed and explosiveness to land big counter shots that change the trajectory of fights. Both Figgy and Cody have scored 11 UFC knockdowns in their UFC careers. So 22 combined knockdowns for these two fighters in this fight. But the difference here is that Figgy has absorbed only 1 knockdown in his 15 UFC fights, while Cody Garbrandt has absorbed 7. That stat is impossible to ignore. The durability differential here is why this line is the way it is, with Figgy being slightly over a 75% implied favorite to win this fight. That being said, both guys have power, both guys have speed and explosive attacks on the feet, and both guys are low volume counter strikers with negative distance striking differentials. So if nobody lands a big shot here, then this will probably play out as a very close fight that goes to decision. I'm going to go, I mean, look at these numbers here. Only 6.79 distance strike attempts per minute from Deiveson Figueiredo. That's extremely low volume. 4.92 less than the divisional average. And for Cody, it's 7.74. So both of these guys are pretty low volume. Both of these guys do land on or rely on landing a big shot, but they're low volume enough, only landing about 3 to 3.5 distance strikes per minute spent at distance, that I think that this one is going to go to decision. And I'm going to pick Deiveson Figueiredo to win this fight by decision. And I like the fight goes to decision here at a plus 150. I think that's a bet I'm going to be making. I haven't pulled the trigger yet. I was looking at it at plus 160. It went the other way to plus 150. I still like it here at plus 150. I think Cody can win a decision. I think Deiveson can win a decision. And I think Cody hasn't been knocked out in a while. So maybe that chin has healed up a little bit better. And now that he's not making that cut down to 125, he'll probably be a little bit more durable up here at 135. And Deiveson isn't this murderous power puncher at bantamweight. So I'm going to pick him to win this one by decision and take a long look at that fight goes at plus 150. We got Broke saying Chicago does have thin pizza, and I like their crispy bottom deep dish, but it doesn't hold a candle to actual real thin. Chicago has the best sandwich in the world, and people there don't care about pizza compared to the Chicago-style beef sandwich with spicy giardiniera. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the Chicago-style Italian beef sandwich with a little bit of spicy peppers on there for sure. Awesome stuff. Duke's beef. Portillo's is pretty solid. Bone of beef, very good. There's a lot of really great options in the city of Chicago for a solid beef sandwich. And yeah, I love them too. But yeah, pizza here is my favorite. And I went and got a pizza from Barnaby's last night. Still got a little bit left over, which I'm probably going to snack on after the show here tonight. But that's the first fight of the night. And we're picking Deiveson Figueiredo to win it by decision. The next fight that we're going to talk about is going to be Bobby King Green at -189 going up against Jim fucking Miller at +164 as the underdog. The fight doesn't go to decision here. Juiced up just a little bit past 50% at -105. So let's get these stats up on the screen for you guys. And let's first start talking about the trends for this fight. Now, Bobby Green is going to be 2-1 in his last 3 fights with wins over Grant Dawson by first round KO. He was a +350 underdog in that spot. And he had a third round arm triangle win over Tony Ferguson as a -375 favorite before that. And he's coming off a first round knockout loss versus Jalin Turner in December of 2023 as a +170 underdog. Bobby's been finished in his last 3 losses to Turner by first round KO, to Drew Dober by second round KO, and to Islam Makhachev by first round knockout. Jim fucking Miller has been on a roll lately. He's won 5 of his last 6 fights, all of them finishes, with his only loss coming by unanimous decision to Alexander Hernandez in a close back and forth fight. The wins aren't against the best names, though. Gabriel Benitez, Jesse Butler, the rotting corpse of Donald Cerrone, Nick Moda, and Ghost Pepper Gonzalez. But Jim is running through these hoes, and he's looking damn good for a 40-year-old with Lyme disease. Jim's a +150 underdog right now versus Bobby Green, and he'll be making history in this fight, being the only guy to be on UFC 100's card, UFC 200, and now UFC 300. And he did win on the 100 and 200 card. So he's trying to make it a trifecta of winning on these centennial cards, if you will, for the UFC. Now, Bobby Green is going to be 3 years younger than Jim fucking Miller. He's going to be 2 inches taller. He's going to be the better minute winner at the UFC level. He's 7-6-1 in decisions, while Jim Miller's 3-9 in decisions. And because of that stat, we can kind of extrapolate that Bobby Green is the way better minute winner, especially at distance striking range. And that's in the stats for us to see. Bobby Green has got a positive 2.3 distance striking differential compared to -1.01 for Jim Miller. He's more accurate than Miller is at 49% for Green, about 42% for Jim Miller. He's more defensively responsible at 64% compared to 59% at distance for Miller. He lands more per minute at 6.7 compared to 4.34. He absorbs less. He only gets hit 4.41 times per minute at distance, while Jim Miller gets hit 5.35 times. Green's faster. He's longer. He's got the better footwork and head movement. Neither guy has a ton of power, but the ability to win minutes at range clearly favors Bobby Green. And Green is the more efficient grappler in terms of minute winning. He gets 50% of his fights takedowns and attempts 42% of his fights total takedowns, but he's winning 61% of the control time positions. So he gets his takedowns at 39%. He defends them at 72%. So his efficiency is better than Jim Miller's. And Green has the overall strength to schedule advantage, having fought the better win-loss ratioed competition. 1.68 here for Bobby Green overall. And it's 1.33 for Jim Miller. And the wins for Bobby Green against the better guys at 1.34 win-loss ratio compared to 0.95 for Jim fucking Miller. Now, Miller is going to be the southpaw in this southpaw versus orthodox matchup. He's got the overall and the UFC experience advantages over Jim Miller or over Bobby Green. He's the better moment winner is Jim Miller. Jim has a tendency to win moments, whether it's with his slick submission game, as he's 20 wins and 4 losses to the submission as a pro, or flashing power in that left hand of his, as he's 7-2 to the knockout as a pro. Jim is 4-2 to the KO in the UFC, and Green is 3-4. So Green can be finished, and Miller is a finisher. Finish only prop on the underdog in Miller could be an interesting play this week. It's plus 100 on DraftKings Sportsbook right now, and I think that's a really good look, as Miller is much more finish dependent in order to win fights than Green is, and he's probably a little bit more durable as well. And Jim's the more dangerous submission grappler here for sure. He's finished 8 of his 15 UFC wins by way of submission, and he attempts 1.08 submissions per 15 minutes. If Jim can get this fight to the ground or find Green's back in a scramble, he will be live to finish the fight. Jim should be the more dangerous finisher wherever this fight goes. So, in summary, betting against Jim fucking Miller on a UFC 300 card, it feels like a scary proposition. Jim won it at UFC 100 and 200, and he's been talking about being on this card for UFC 300 a long time now. It feels like it's his destiny to win on Saturday, but being the analytical bettor that I am, I don't know how to handicap that detail. Here's what I do know. Jim relies on finishes, and if you look at the massive sample size of fight stats that we have available to us between both of these guys, it's Green who will most likely win the minutes of this fight at distance striking range. Green is the more efficient striker and grappler. He's 3 years younger. He's 2 inches taller. He's fought and beaten the better brand of competition, and he's done a great job of dictating where the fight takes place. I have to lean to the Green side here. It's scary that he's coming off such a vicious KO the last time out to Jalin Turner, but Jim Miller is not Jalin Turner in terms of power, so I feel safe counting on Bobby Green to win this fight, and the pick is going to be Bobby Green to win this fight by decision. So we go Bobby King Green by decision here is the pick. All right. Oh, it looks like my camera was unplugged. Let me just get that back in there. Get that. There we go. Okay, sorry about that, you guys. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat here. Isn't Chicago's best pizza thin pizza? I mean, I think it is. I love deep dish as well, but I think their thin pizza is really good. Jeff K saying Barnaby's Northbrook. I hope no Barnaby's Niles, because I it's easier for me to get out to Niles. I just go to the one over there on Caldwell by Oakton. Very good. MMA Goat is in the room saying, "Love you, Weezy. Just stopping in to show love. Glad to have you back this week. Sweet Dreams KO this week. Lock it in," says the MMA Goat. Appreciate you, man. We got Broke DJ saying their deep dish pizza is supposed to have a crispy bottom that you can pick up even though it's deep dish. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of places that have places like that they've got a really crispy bottom to the deep dish pizza. We got Anthony Orlania in the room saying Bobby by decision might be the move. It's about plus 165, and I think it's a solid look this week. Jim Miller's a pretty durable dude. We got Gabriella in the room saying, Uncle Weezy, I love you. Thank you for hanging out, Gabriella. Always good to have you hanging out in here. We got House of Grind Studio in the room saying, hi, Weezy in chat. Nice to see you. What a card. Nice to see your stats and analysis. Nice to see you hanging out in here, House of Grind. Let's get it. We got Broke DJ saying, I don't know if I really care about these Jim Miller stats because he's gotten so much better and better and better over the last few years. He seems unbeatable to me. Jim Miller by sub, says Broke DJ. We got Gus B saying, cheering for Miller, but I can't put any money on it. I hear you, Gus. I I mean, I think Jim's super live, especially with a finish only prop here. I think the finish only prop's the way this play this Miller side. But and Gabrielle is saying plus 165. Give me 1 unit on Jim. Yeah, at that price, it's very, very tempting at plus 165. Maybe what you could do is just say plus 165, 1 unit on Jim, and then plus 165 Green by decision. And then you just got to hope that Bobby Green doesn't get a finish. And then either way, you can win. Plus 165, you can't bet money on him, Gus. Jim with the round 3 sub, common old guy, cash it for the people. We got Daz saying Green wins in 1-2. Jim steals it in round 3. Let's go. Sammy Malcolm in the room saying, oi. And Gus saying, broke DJ worried Green is undervalued because of that Turner KO. Yeah, it was a bad KO. Gabriella saying chalk time here. Daz File saying, can we all agree Jim wants it more? I think so, man. I really do think I agree with that for sure. Sammy Malcolm saying, I agree with Bobby as you look into it. But Miller, man, something tingles about Miller. Yeah, Kerry Hatley, the stoppage was terrible. Muggs Pizza is one thing I still crave after leaving Chicago. Dude, Muggs Pizza over there on Harlem Avenue. The one right by the Knicks Euros there on Harlem Avenue by Tui. That's a good place too, man. And Tron's got a good looking dog there, man. All right, you guys. We got MMA Jackal in the room. We got Swinger in the room. We got House of Grind saying Jim Miller will pull it out. Green will get hit hard once and lose his legs. We got Alex Pereira asked Pollyanna Viana for her digits, and Poha, he got wrecked. He walks funny now. All right, you guys, let's move on to this next one. It is going to be Jessica Andrade at minus 135, the favorite, up against Marina Rodriguez. Plus 115 is the underdog. Fight doesn't go to decision here. Plus money at plus 110 for this fight. So let me get these stats up on the screen for you guys. And let's first start talking about the trends for this fight. Now, Jessica Andrade has lost 3 of her last 4 fights, but she snapped that 3-fight losing streak as a plus 170 underdog last time out against Mackenzie Dern, winning by second round KO. Now, prior to that, Jessica took 3 straight short notice fights against Erin Blanchfield, Yan Xiaonan, and Tatiana Suarez, and it looked like she was just showing up for paychecks, but she definitely showed some signs of life her last time out against Mackenzie Dern. Jessica was going through a very expensive divorce, which explains the OnlyFans account that she had and the fact that she fought 5 times in the year 2023. So she was desperate for money, and she was taking as many fights as she could get, even if they were short notice, even if they were up a weight class, even if they were bad stylistic matchups, because she needed to get paid in order to pay off the bills from that divorce. So I think that now she's paid that off, she's moved on, and we might be seeing a more focused version of Jessica Andrade. Now, Marina Rodriguez has won 5 of her last 7 fights, and she's coming off a second-round KO win over Michelle Waterson back in September of 2023. She was a minus 310 favorite in that fight, so she was expected to win. Marina's 3 UFC losses came against 2 elite grapplers in Virna Jandiroba and Carla Esparza, and her only finish loss came against Amanda Lemos, who has next-level power for a strawweight. Marina coming into this fight against Jessica Andrade is a plus 115 underdog. Now, Jessica is 4.5 years younger than Marina Rodriguez, and not only is she 4.5 years younger, but she has the overall and UFC experience advantages with 15 more total fights, 40 more minutes of total cage time, and she also has 14 more fights at the UFC level and 60 more minutes of octagon time. And Jessica's the better moment winner. Jessica's finished 18 of her 25 pro wins inside the distance, and she's an equal opportunity finisher, having finished 8 times by submission and 10 times by knockout. And she's finished 9 of her 16 UFC wins as well. So she's definitely a much better finisher than Marina Rodriguez has been at this level. And Jessica's explosive. She's mean, and she finds ways to finish fights at the highest level. And she also finds ways to win minutes. As we can see right here, Jessica Andrade is 7-2 to the decision in her UFC career. She's got a positive 0.8 distance striking differential with 46% accuracy at distance and 59% defense. And she outcontrols her opponents 24% to 10%, winning over 70% of the control time positions in her fights, while Marina loses a ton of minutes on the ground. So Jessica Andrade is capable wherever the fight goes, and she stays busy, and she's able to win minutes and moments. And she's got the overall strength of schedule advantage according to my metric. You can see right here, she fights the slightly more experienced competition in comparison to Marina, and she's got a better overall ratio at 1.6 compared to 1.32 overall from Marina. Now, Marina Rodriguez is going to be the bigger lady here. She's got a 3-inch reach advantage, and she's 5 inches taller than Jessica. And Marina's an excellent minute winner and moment winner at distance striking range. She's got a positive 2.13 distance striking differential, and she has 2 UFC knockdowns and 2 UFC wins by way of KO. Marina has 66% distance striking defense, and she's never been dropped in the UFC. She was knocked out standing by Amanda Lemos in the 3rd round of their fight, but outside of that, she's been very durable. So this is a high-level strawweight fight. Jessica is a small favorite here, and that feels right to me. She's 4.5 years younger. She's more experienced overall and in the UFC. Jessica is definitely the better moment winner wherever the fight goes. And she's also 7-2 in the UFC in decisions. So she's able to win minutes as well as moments. Jessica's the more active and efficient grappler and will be more likely to win minutes and moments in the grappling exchanges in this fight. So I like Marina on the distance striking side a lot more if she can use her footwork, that 5-inch height and that 3-inch reach advantage. Marina should be the cleaner striker and better minute winner at range, in my opinion. Her punches come straight down the pipe, while Jessica throws a lot more wide hooks. Jess is definitely the one who throws with more power and purpose, but she runs into range with her chin in the air, and we could easily see Marina landing big like Yan Xiaonan and Zhang Weili did when Jess recklessly swung her way into range in those fights, which resulted in her getting violently slept both times. Jessica has more ways to win this fight due to the fact that we could see her win minutes and moments in the grappling exchanges, where we've seen Marina struggle mightily in the past. And clearly, Jess is the one more likely to land big shots at range, but Marina's also live to do that as well. Both ladies are strong. They're both mean in the clinch, but I'm going to have to side with the youth, the experience, the grappling upside in particular, the power and the strength of schedule advantages on the Jessica Andrade side here. And I'm going to pick Jessica Andrade to win this fight by decision. So here we go. The very handsome Bata Estaca, Jessica Andrade to win this fight by decision here. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. I don't know why I can't ever highlight anyone's name. I followed the instructions and it doesn't work for me. I don't know either, dude. Chris Lee is so bad, says Gabriella. Yeah, he's a bum, as are most of these judges. Gus saying, Andrade will walk through Marina's pitter-patter strikes, in my opinion. I tend to agree with you there, Gus. Maybe even take her down, but definitely control her against the cage. Marina doesn't have the knee game to stop that bulldog, and I don't think she has enough power in order to get Jessica Andrade's respect and force her to stop pressuring. It's not on or something. What's not on or something? Oh, the highlight. We got Andrade will use her clinch against the cage and grappling. Yeah, I think she can, but I think that Marina Rodriguez is also very good in the clinch. Broke DGen saying, "Oh wow, I figured it out to use a Brave browser only. I only have YouTube Premium, so add no trackers pop up out window." Let's see. Oh, I had to put the Brave browser shields down for your names to come up. Got it. Wine feels too close. I think we might get a dog here. Yeah, could be. I mean, dude, this I don't know, man. I'm picking Jessica, but you know, Marina could win the minutes at range. One takedown of Marina is stuck a whole round, but Jessica seems like the kind of opponent she could possibly reverse. Yeah, and John does not like the judges. Also, you scored that for Allen. Eat a dick. I didn't even get to watch the fight. But yeah, I heard that you know, it was a very controversial decision. It was probably a bitch one. Does Angelo's fart smell like gabagool? I have no idea. None at all. And Matt saying at dog money, going with Marina, thinks she's slicker on the feet and will win mostly a striking fight while avoiding Andrade's power. And yeah, that's how he wins, or that's how she wins, Matt, is by being able to keep this fight standing, picking her apart, using that 5-inch height advantage, using that 3-inch reach advantage to win the minutes at range and win a decision. And I think that's her path here. And if Marina gets the job done, I think that's how she gets it done. But let's move on to this next fight. 75 of you guys in here live watching this. Please hit that thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already so you don't miss out on any of the great content, including another episode of Probability, a very special UFC Probability coming up tomorrow night, 9:15 Central Time. Yeah. So hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, leave me a comment down below, and please consider joining the Patreon so you can get access to these fantastic stats that you see here on this channel every week. And let's move on to the next fight, which is going to be an absolute barn burner. And that is going to be Jalin the Tarantula Turner at minus 233 going up against Renato Money Moicano at plus 198. Fight doesn't go to decision here. Juice to the tits at minus 400 for this fight. So let's start talking about the trends here. And Jalin Turner has won 6 of his last 8 fights, and his only 2 losses come to Mateusz Gamrot and Dan Hooker, and both of those losses came by way of very close split decisions. So Jalin is fighting at a very high level right now. He's fresh off a first-round starching of Bobby Green as a minus 205 favorite, and prior to that, lost those 2 split decisions to Hooker as a minus 300 favorite. He dropped the ball in that one. And then the Mateusz Gamrot one, he was a plus 180 underdog to Gamrot. So Moicano has won 4 of his last 5 fights, with the only loss coming against Rafael dos Anjos. He took that fight on less than 1 week's notice, where he got 7 shades of shit beaten out of him in that fight. But outside of that, he finished 3 of those 4 wins that he's had in his last 5 fights by submission. And the other one he won in 29-28 unanimous decision versus Drew Dober as a minus 180 favorite. Jalin is a minus 235 favorite at the moment over Moicano. Now, Jalin Turner's advantages in this fight, he's always got these massive measurables advantages. He's 6 years younger. This guy's still only 28 years old. He's going to be 4 inches taller, and he's going to have a 5-inch reach advantage over Jalin or over Moicano. He's also the southpaw in the southpaw versus orthodox matchup. Jalin Turner, the more explosive finisher. He's got a 100% finish rate in 14 pro wins. He's got 4 wins by submission, 10 by KO, and he's got the power advantage on the feet. 1.88% distance knockdown percentage here compared to 0.18 for Moicano. And you also see that Moicano has been dropped on 0.56% of the total strikes that he's absorbed. Same rate as Jalin Turner, oddly enough. And Moicano, he's got 0 career wins by knockout. So it's safe to say that Jalin is going to have a big-time power differential in his favor in this fight. And Jalin Turner's a solid grappler with an above-average grappling efficiency rating. He's 4 wins and 0 losses to the submission in his pro career, and 3 of his 7 UFC wins come by way of sub. His unusual height and length for the division opens up opportunities for chokes shorter fighters just don't have available to them. Now, Moicano is going to have the overall and UFC experience advantages here over Jalin Turner. In the UFC, he's got 4 more fights and 60 more minutes of octagon time. Moicano's got underrated stand-up, in my opinion. He's absolutely capable of winning minutes at range with a positive 1.17 distance striking differential, 46% accuracy, and 64% defense. Now, Moicano's chinny. He's been dropped 3 times in 15 UFC fights, and he's been knocked out in 3 of his 5 UFC losses. But if you don't find the big shot against him, he's perfectly capable of going tit for tat with above average UFC strikers. Moicano does his best work on the mat, but his stand-up is more than serviceable, so he can take his time setting up his clinch and takedown entries and doesn't have to be desperate selling out for takedown, taking sloppy shots from across the cage. So Moicano is so good on the mat when he gets it there. He's a high-level BJJ black belt, and he's 10 wins and 1 loss to the submission as a professional. 6 of Moicano's 10 UFC wins come by way of submission, and all of those submissions come by way of the rear naked choke. Renato is predictable. He goes for body lock takedowns. He gets them. He advances position. He finds his way to your back, and then he slips the forearm under your chin. It's the same submission every damn time with this guy, but he's so proficient at it that his opponents can't stop it even though they know it's coming. If Renato doesn't get takedowns in top control here, it's going to be such a hard fight. But he's capable of doing it. And Turner loses fights when he gives up takedowns, like he did in the Frivola and Garbrandt fights. So Renato is going to be very live to win this fight if he can close range, get into the clinch, and find a trip or a reap. So this is such a high-level fight between 2 dangerous, well-rounded, and well-tested fighters. On the Turner side, I like the massive measurables advantages. The power differential and the fact that Turner has never been subbed as a pro. And with Moicano, you get the more experienced fighter who's the better minute and moment winner in the grappling exchanges. It's virtually impossible to ignore how dangerous and powerful Jalin Turner is at distance striking range. His long-range attacks, especially the kicks to the body and the head, are all meant to crumble you, and his uppercuts and straight lefts are also very powerful. We've seen Renato Moicano knocked out in 3 of his of his 5 UFC losses, and let's face it, that RDA fight should have been a TKO as well. Turner is minus 230 on the money line and minus 185 to win inside the distance. So the books are well aware that the finishing the fight is his best win condition. And all 7 of Jalin's UFC wins come inside the distance, as do 4 of Moicano's 5 UFC losses. So 11 of 12, or 91.67% of Turner's win condition is inside the distance, according to his prior UFC statistics. So Moicano needs to get into the clinch and find body lock trips. If he can do that consistently, he will look like a fantastic bet at plus 190 in hindsight. And we've seen Turner taken down and controlled by Matt Frivola. 4 of 13 takedowns Frivola had, over 5 minutes of control time. He got taken down on 1 of 3 attempts by Jamie Mulaki and controlled for over a minute and a half in that fight. Mateusz Gamrot was 4 of 12 on his takedowns against Jalin Turner and got 6 minutes and 52 seconds of control time in that fight. So it's certainly in the realm of possibility that Moicano can exploit that hole in Turner's defense that Frivola, Gamrot successfully exploited on their way to decision victories. I think Moicano's money line at plus 190 is compelling this week, and his submission prop at plus 450 and his decision prop at plus 500 are both fat lines that are his best paths to victory. Now, Turner's finishing ability cannot be ignored here, and neither can his massive measurables advantages and power differential advantages that he has in this fight. I think he eventually finds the big shot here that ends Moicano's night, as long as he doesn't give up on his back on the mat trying to get up or in a scramble. So I'm going to pick Jalin the Tarantula Turner to win this fight by second round knockout. Round 2. All right. Wow. Shit ton of comments in here. Damn, dude. Let's see here. We've got the Finns chats in the room saying subbed and like, Chief, appreciate you. House of Grind saying gotta sub, gotta like, appreciate you. Over has to be the play. In this one, I don't know, man. I mean, like, I could definitely see it going to decision, but Moicano is so dangerous with his submission game, and Jalin Turner is so dangerous with his power that I could see this one finishing in any round of this fight, but most likely in the first round and a half. The under 1.5 is how I would play violence here. Turner gets it done inside, says Jane Smith. Yeah, I think so. That's how I'm picking it. How does anyone see Moicano winning? I could see him getting a decision by getting takedowns and a bunch of control time, and I could also see him getting a submission here. I'm picking Jalin to win, but I definitely think there's a chance that Moicano can win this fight. And it's the Finns brothers, says Gabriella. We got Presidente in the room with the spider, the tarantula there. We got Cuban Assassin saying, I don't get all the Jamal Hill locks. I think he gets knocked out or they stop the fight because he tears his Achilles tendon again. Too soon of a return. Too long since his last fight over a year ago. Yeah, we're going to talk about that one, man. We got Finn saying this guy's the GOAT. I don't know who you're talking about, but it might be Jalin Turner. It might be Moicano, or it might be me. I don't know, man, but good to have you in here, Finns. We've got Slam Piles on the over. Turner decision is a good prop, but I like Moicano decision as well, says Sammy. Yippee Kaye saying, listen up, folks. If you know what's good for you, you better hit that like button, smash that subscribe, and leave some damn comments. Appreciate you, Yippee Kaye. All right. Gus Sandy says he thinks Moicano is worth a live bet if he gets out of the first. If there's a 1.5 over, I'll take it 2.5. I don't know about that. Yeah. Moicano live is the place, is Gabriella. Moicano 8 is going to sub him in the first. What color will stand for a couple minutes, and then you will get an easy takedown and finish him dry. Oh, yeah, voice text. Yeah, there you go. It never works the way you think it will. Turner is a BJJ brown belt. Turner sub plus 700. Yeah, interesting look there because he does have really, really, really long limbs. We got Monk in the room saying, what's up, Weezy? Glad to see you back in the States. Let's go UFC 300. All right, and let's see here, you guys. Let's keep it moving here. We got Xenu told me to pick Turner. Hashtag Scientology. All right, you guys. Let's move on to this next fight. It is going to be Sodiq Yusuff at plus 120 going up against Diego Lopes at minus 140. The fight doesn't go to decision here, sitting at minus 175 for this fight. So we've got Lopes is white hot right now. He got 2 first-round finishes against Gavin Tucker and Pat Sabatini here. And Sodiq Yusuff is coming off a 5-round decision loss to Edson Barbosa, where he almost finished Edson, basically 10-8'd him in the first round, and then just kind of turned off the gas for the rest of the fight. So very unusual performance by Sodiq, but Sodiq was so close to finishing that Barbosa fight that I think he maybe expended a ton of injury or energy. Might have had a bit of an adrenaline dump there, but not the best look in Yusuff's last fight here. Both these guys on less than 6-month layoffs, and it's a fascinating fight because Lopes looks unbeatable right now. The guy has a ton of power on the feet. He's got an absolutely dynamic and aggressive submission game. He's got a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. The guy is 12-0 to the submission in 22 pro wins as a professional. So he's not the best minute winner, though. We saw Joe Anderson Brito just kind of take him down and lay on top of him easily for 3 rounds. And, even though Lopes is a dynamic striker who's very tall and long for the division, he's going to be 2 inches taller and have a 1-inch reach advantage over Sodiq Yusuff. And he's also the more experienced guy, as well as being the younger guy. It's Yusuff who has the higher level experience. He's got 8 UFC fights compared to 3 for Lopes, and he's fought the better brand of UFC competition over the long haul. Gavin Tucker is pretty much on his way out. I think maybe even already retired. And Pat Sabatini has absolutely zero chin. And the first punch that he got hit with ended his night. So Sodiq Yusuff is a guy who's extremely durable. He's been training with Lloyd Irvin ever since he started at the UFC level. So he's a guy who's got very good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in his own right. And his striking is just a lot more of a known quantity at this level than Diego Lopes's is. Lopes, like I said, tall and long for the division and very explosive, especially with his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But Sodiq Yusuff is not a guy who's spending a lot of time on the ground. He's a very efficient grappler. You can see here that Sodiq has only got 2 takedowns, but he's given up 9, right? And he's got 9 takedown attempts, and his opponents have attempted 20 against him. So he's got about 22% of the total takedowns in his fights. He attempts less than 33% of the total takedown attempts in his fights, but he's getting 57% of the control time positions being won in his fights. So when he gets takedowns, he keeps you there. When he allows takedowns, he tends to get right back up. And he has never been submitted as a pro in 16 professional fights. So I think that we can count on Yusuff's strength of schedule advantage. I think we can count on him being the more dangerous and opportunistic striker while this fight is at range. What we don't know from Sodiq is how he's going to handle fighting a top-notch submission grappler like Diego Lopes. If we go here to the previous fights, I mean, Edson Barbosa is pretty much a pure striker. Don Shainis, not UFC level. Caceres is a very good grappler, but God help him. I mean, he never, ever, ever offensively grapples. So he's perfectly happy to stand at range with you, and that's what happened there. Arnold Allen does not really grapple that much, and he's not really a submission threat at all. Andre Philly, more of a kickboxer. He will wrestle, but he's not really a submission threat. Benitez, pure kickboxer. Shaman Moraes, pure kickboxer. Suman Mokhtarian, bum. And then Mike Davis, good wrestler, but not really much of a submission grappler, especially back in 2018 when Sodiq beat him. So, yeah, man, I mean, Diego Lopes is by far the most dangerous submission grappler that Sodiq Yusuff has faced. So I am not sure how he's going to hold up against that constant, offensive submission output that Diego Lopes has if this fight does get to the ground. So it's going to be it's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out. But I like Yusuff striking. I like the strength of schedule advantage here. And I think we're getting them at a discount because, I think a lot of people would have been finished by the onslaught that Sodiq caught Edson Barbosa with in that fight. And if Sodiq can continue that pace or that ability to be able to keep the fight standing, and we know that Lopes isn't really a wrestler. He's only attempted 1 takedown in 3 UFC fights in 18 minutes. So you know, Lopes is a guy that I don't know if we can count on to get offensive takedowns. And if Yusuff's not attempting them, I think Yusuff is going to cruise on the feet here and probably even get a finish against Diego Lopes, who has been knocked out in 2 of his 6 professional losses. And those losses coming on the regional scene against lower level competition, not guys like Sodiq Yusuff. So I'm going to pick Sodiq Yusuff as the underdog pick here and pick him to win this fight by 2nd round knockout. And I know a lot of people are on Lopes this week, but this is a fight that I'm probably not going to be betting at all. I'm too worried about how dangerous Lopes is with his submissions, and I know that Lopes is also huge, young, and very aggressive on the feet as well. So I think this is going to be an absolute banger of a fight. I'm picking Yusuff to win it and win it inside the distance because I do not think that this one sees 15 full minutes. And I'm going to just go with Yusuff to weather that early storm and get a 2nd round knockout. All right. Let's see. Let's see. We got House of Grind saying this is a cool fight. Will Lopes finish or will he not? That is the only question to ask, in my opinion. Yusuff has been low volume in the past, not looking to finish, but he does hit very hard. Super talented, athletic guy. Could KO anyone, but he rarely hunts for it. Yeah, he almost had it against Barbosa, and then he gassed out. Clicked your name after it popped up. Test Diego Lopes by club and sub. Yes. We got Justin J. Oi, what's up, Unc? What's up, Justin? We got House of Grind saying, is Lloyd Irvin the guy with the accusations at his gym? I don't know. I haven't heard anything about that. Do I think this line gets wider? Yeah, I could see it getting wider. I could see getting a better price on Sodiq later on in the week because right now Lopes is the hyped fighter. Sodiq is the freest value on the whole card, says the Finns chats. House of Grind saying enjoy that value. I miss Bo Nickal spec. No, not yet, man. We're gonna talk about Bo. I don't think he has a strength to schedule advantage. Yusuff has not really fought anybody. Dude, he fought fucking Edson Barbosa. I mean, Gavin Tucker is washed up, and Pat Sabatini has no chin. And then the Evloev fight, went kind of how you would expect it to go. Evloev is a crotch sniffer. He got a bunch of control time on the ground and narrowly avoided some submission attempts. So Yusuff has definitely fought the better brand of competition. And then if you look at the garbage that Lopes was fighting on the regional scene, you'll understand what I mean by Yusuff having fought the better brand of competition, with Arnold Allen being in there. The most recent fight against Barbosa, he's fought the better guys. Bo Nickal, what a boy. Yeah, he's a tough dude, that's for sure. We got my guy Kiwi Brew, Eli in the room saying sure all. We got my guy the Carrillo in the room saying I miss the most best uncle in the world. Appreciate you, F. Carrillo. We got Sammy in the room saying Lopes looks ready, man, and has so much experience. This is what hard work and patience brings. His time to shine, inshallah. We got Taron Brown saying he's got Sodiq by KO. We got the Finns chat saying Sodiq KO. We got Broke Degen saying Lopes was only knocked out once, and it was in 2018. Nope, Lopes has been knocked out twice, my friend, and that was what the stats say. We got Volkan Ardic saying I like Yusuff's chances too, and Broke Degen saying his chin is power, dude. You're crazy. Okay, let's see. We got love hearing the different ideas, perspectives from everyone. We got Chaz Bono's Manly Beard saying, will Kayla Harrison need to get circumcised to get to bantamweight? I don't know how the hell she's going to make 136, but she does look leaner. I'm sure she's working with the PI to find the best ways to get that weight off. Weezy just lied. Did I really just lie? I mean, because my stats say 2 times knockout. Let's look at Sherdog, because one of them could be like a disqualification because that also counts as a knockout. And you better be right about this because you're calling me a liar. Let's see. Where the fuck is it? So Lopes loses to Elzukayev by knockout. And Rodrigo Praya by knockout. So no, dude, I didn't lie. Come on, man. I'm the one that keeps the stats. I don't lie to you guys. He's been knocked out twice. Lopes is huge. I think he KOs Sodiq. It's possible, man. What do you mean Sodiq hasn't fought anyone? Who the hell has Lopes beat? His last one was against a nobody. Just responding to that person who said Sodiq hasn't fought anyone. My comment isn't towards you. I know. Yeah, let's see. Kayla make 136 like a pro. I mean, she might, man. I mean, like, yeah, just like DC weights. All right, you guys, let's move on to this next fight. And it is going to be Holly Holm versus Kayla Harrison. We've got Holly Holm plus 332 underdog here to the newcomer in Kayla Harrison, who's minus 432. Fight doesn't go to decision for this fight. A pick 'em at minus 115. So we got Holly Holm has only fought 3 times since the beginning of 2021, and she's 1-2 in those 2 fights. She had a dominant 30-27 unanimous decision victory over Yana Santos as a minus 210 favorite, and she was finished in the second round by Mayra Bueno Silva as a minus 175 favorite, and she lost a controversial split decision to Ketlin Vieira as a minus 240 favorite. Now, Kayla Harrison, she's 16-1 as a pro, and she's been, hang on a second, let me get these stats up on the screen for you guys. And she's been nothing short of dominant as a professional. This will be her first time ever cutting down to 135 pounds. So seeing Kayla on the scales is vital information in this matchup, especially considering her money line is sitting around minus 460 at the moment. So holding a ticket with over 80% implied probability is scary when you consider how difficult of a weight cut this is going to be for a lady Kayla's size, who has mostly fought at 155 pounds. Pretty much every time Kayla fights, she's around a minus 2,500 favorite or steeper. She dropped the ball as a minus 700 favorite to Larissa Pacheco back in November of 2022, but that was her only career setback. And outside of that performance, she's been nothing short of dominant, finishing 12 of her 16 pro wins inside the distance. She's got 6 submissions and 6 knockouts. And Kayla's minus 460 due to the massive grappling advantage she has in this fight. But seeing the weigh-in is going to be crucial information for this one. Now, Holly Holm is going to have a 3-inch reach advantage. She has the overall experience advantage with 5 more fights and about 3 more hours of pro cage time in 7 more years as a pro fighter. And she also has the UFC experience advantage, does Holm, with 15 more fights and 250 more minutes of octagon time as Kayla makes her UFC debut on Saturday. Holly is the better distance striker. Kayla uses her striking as a means to set up her entries on her takedowns. But Holly has the capability to win minutes and moments at distance striking range. Holly has a positive 0.76 distance striking differential, and she's 8 wins and 1 loss to the KO as a pro. And Holly has the strength of schedule advantage. Kayla crushed cans in PFL up 2 weight classes, while Holly has fought at the highest level of the UFC for the entire time she's been here. The combined UFC records of Holly's opponents is 116 wins and 58 losses. Now, Kayla Harrison is 9 years younger than Holly Holm is, and she's an elite grappler. She's a 2-time gold medalist and Olympic gold medalist in judo. She's powerful and explosive with her wrestling. She has crushing top control, excellent ground and pound, and she's always actively looking for submissions. If Kayla gets you to the ground, she does damage while there and actively looks to finish fights. She does an excellent job of using her striking as a means to an end to set up her grappling game, and she does an excellent job of blending the two together. Even though Kayla has as many knockouts as she does submissions, that is a little deceiving because all of her KO wins come by way of ground and pound. So it really is the grappling game of Kayla that needs to be avoided at all costs if you're fighting her. So this is as striker versus grappler as it gets. Holly has to avoid the clinch and use her footwork and lateral movement to keep this fight standing. And she's done an excellent job of doing just that at the UFC level, showing 79% takedown defense on 33 attempts against, and only being controlled by her opponents less than 6% of her total octagon time. This fight is in the big cage, so Holly will have room to move laterally and try to elude the pressure and double leg entries of Harrison. Kayla fights a perfect style to highlight her strengths as a fighter. She does an excellent job of using her striking to set up her grappling entries. She uses a wide variety of weapons at range and is very efficient with not only her wrestling, but with her elite judo to get fights to the ground, where she uses that crushing top control, ground and pound, and submission game to finish fights. Holly isn't easy to get down, and she's only been taken down 7 times in 15 UFC fights. But if Kayla gets it there, she's going to look dominant. There are too many what ifs, though, here to lay that kind of juice on Kayla Harrison's money line. What if her weight cut goes horribly? What if Holly uses her footwork and lateral movement like she did against Rousey to keep the fight standing? What if the step up in competition is too much for Kayla, seeing as she's mostly crushed cans up 2 weight classes? Minus 460, 430 seems too much to pay, but I get it. Kayla's scary. Her grappling game is elite. Right now, it's clearly dog or pass on the money line, though, from me right now. Too many unanswered questions on the Harrison end, but I do think she gets the dub on Saturday. Kayla is no stranger to performing at a high level under massive amounts of pressure. So I am going to pick Kayla Harrison to win this fight, and I'm going to pick her to win it by decision. So Kayla Harrison by decision, but I think pre-flop, pre-seeing Kayla Harrison on the scale, you can say Holly Holm is more experienced, both overall and at the UFC level. She's going to have a 3-inch reach advantage. This fight is in the big cage. All the rounds start standing where Holly's going to have the advantage. And, we've seen Holly in all of her 3-round fights go to decision at the UFC level. So if Kayla's weight cut goes shitty, there's a lot of reasons that Holly could pull this fight out if Kayla is not performing at the level we're used to seeing Kayla perform at, because instead of fighting at 155 pounds or down a weight class at 145, she's making her debut at 135. So I think pre-flop, Holly is the side. It's dog or pass on the money line, but I'm going to pick Kayla Harrison to win this fight by decision. All right. Let's see. Yeah, can't make a definitive can't make a definitive read until the weigh-in. Yeah, when you Dogfather in the room, good to see the Dogfather hanging out, man, saying, yeah, he was knocked out. When you come at the king, you better not miss. Yeah, dude, and that's the thing. Sherdog, sometimes there's going to be fights on Tapology that are just listed as a win. But if you go to Sherdog and you look at that same fight, more times than not, Sherdog will have the actual result and let you know whether it was a decision, a submission, or a KO. So when I set up these fighter profiles on my spreadsheets, I always dig to make sure that I know what every win and loss, whether it was a decision, a knockout, or a submission. So and then I've got the sheet is coded to read those so that I don't have to count them myself. So they're usually on point. Yeah, can't make a definitive read until the weigh-in. Agree. Kayla is not going to be able to take Holly down at 135, and Holly will beat her ass on the feet. You bet Pacheco the last fight, that was easy money he had, and you got a good line on it too. Not a bad point at all. Yeah. He's been KO'd twice, one in 2018, one in 24. Yeah, a long time ago for both of them, though. Kayla will be bigger for sure. I believe she can Hulk Holm down. She might be able to. Her double legs are nasty, dude. Kayla can wrestle. It's not just the clinch game and the judo that you have to worry about. Kayla can flat out wrestle. Broke Degen saying, yes, so I don't think those knockouts have anything to do with this fight. Yeah, they're so long ago, but he has been knocked out, so somebody that hits as hard as Sodiq Yusuff could potentially find a knockout here, especially if guys like that knocked him out. It did happen, but it was a long time ago, so you have to take it into consideration how long ago it was. I just want to say Holm has not been truly impressive since 2017. The Aldana fight was the last time I thought that Holm was really impressive. Yana Santos, she won that one cleanly, but Yana is past it. Remdog, I think the over 2.5 is a discount for WMMA because of hype around Kayla. I agree with you. I think minus 115 for the fight goes to decision. Remdog is something that I'm looking at. It might be a track bet for me this week. We got Michael Martinez in the house saying, what's up, Unc? We got, damn, Holly hasn't fought at all in the last, yeah, she hasn't fought. Kung Flu Pandemic shot Holly down a bit. It sure did. Dogfather likes the overs and the goes to decision in the home fight. I agree with you, Dogfather. I think minus 115 for that fight goes is something that I'm going to play. All five, if you look at my prop template here, and this just takes into account the 5-round fights. But you could see right here, all 5 of Holly Holm's fights that have been scheduled for 3 rounds have seen the scorecards. And Kayla Harrison, 3 of 14 outside the UFC. So obviously Kayla Harrison is a finisher, but who is she finishing? Is she finishing ladies as high level as Holly Holm? And the answer to that is no. Paku's saying plus 600, Holly by points feels like a steal. I might end up throwing a quarter unit on it. All it takes is a few defended takedowns, and it's a one-sided striking match. Yeah, I mean, like, she's going to need to stop a few of those, and Kayla's going to keep trying to take her down, and she can do it with double and single leg entries, and she can also do it by getting into the clinch and using those trips, sweeps, reaps, head wheels that you'll see her throw out there. Any kind of judo takedown, obviously Kayla's going to be able to get that. Wrestling didn't work for Ronda, but Ronda can't wrestle for shit. Broke Degen, yeah, I like the decision better than the money line. Good call, dude. Even if she beats her ass, she won't finish her. I don't think she's gonna finish her either. Yeah, I know, man. No Paloma, dude. There's no tequila in the house, Dogfather. I have one Mexican squirt, which is the perfect way to dress up the tequila for the perfect Paloma. But I got no tequila in the house, but I do have some water. But I drank a lot on my trip in Italy and France. So I'm good with taking a few nights off of the alcohol here and keeping the whistle wetted with water. Appreciate all 71 of you guys. Yeah. Mexican squirt pause, you Sam. Oh shit. All right, you guys. Let's move on to this next fight. It is going to be Calvin Kattar, the Boston finisher, at plus 140, going up against Aljamain Sterling, minus 160. Fight doesn't go to decision for this fight. Plus money at plus 155 here. The bookies do think that this one is going to go the full 15. All right, so we've got that up here. Let's get these stats up on the screen for you guys. So this is the one fight that I'm going to be pretty much staying away from this week. I don't know. I kind of feel like even though Aljo is only 34 years old, it feels like he's got one foot out the door, and that's really not based on anything but my opinion. I thought he looked god-awful in the Sean O'Malley fight. It almost looked like he threw the fight. First takedown attempt from Aljamain Sterling came with 10 seconds left in the first round. That makes no fucking sense. I mean, if you are not wrestling in round 1 against Sean O'Malley, if you're Aljamain Sterling, I don't I mean, I don't even know if you're trying. It looks like to me like that would be what I would do if I was trying to throw the fight. I would I would shoot a takedown so that the stats would say I shot one, but I'd shoot it at a point in the round when it couldn't possibly score any points, or it couldn't possibly be any chance for me to get a finish as a result of that takedown. And then he got knocked out early in the second round by a guy who landed like something like 300 significant strikes on Chris Matinho before the ref stopped in. So Sterling didn't look particularly great in the Henry Cejudo fight. I thought he lost that fight. And then the Jan fights, I thought he lost the second Jan fight. He was getting waxed in the first one. And then with Calvin Kattar, you got a guy who's on a 1 and 6 month layoff and is coming off a serious knee injury. Calvin should be the better striker here. He's the bigger guy, 4 inches taller, 1 inch reach advantage. He's got a comparable amount of overall experience. It's Aljo who's more experienced at the UFC level. But Aljo's been fighting down a weight class at 135, and now he's moving up so he doesn't have to cut anymore, but he's not going to be a very big featherweight. And Aljo's also not a very good wrestler. The numbers bear that out. I mean, you're talking about less than 25% takedown accuracy and less than 50% takedown defense. Now, Calvin's not a guy who's going to go out there and look to get takedowns. He prefers to keep fights standing. 95% of Calvin Kattar's 12 fights in 176 minutes in the UFC cage are spent at distance striking range. Calvin can keep fights standing if he wants to. His distance striking metrics don't look great. Negative 2.34 distance striking differential. He did get outstruck by like 300 significant strikes by Max Holloway over 5 rounds, so that it skews the numbers. But even without the Holloway fight, even if you were to throw that fight away, Calvin Kattar would still have a negative distance striking differential. But what he is a very good finisher. When he lands big, he swarms. So Calvin is always live to land a big shot. And he has some strange performances. Like he lost a distance striking battle to Renato Moicano. And then a couple of years later went out there and beat Giga Chikadze in a distance striking match. He lost that split decision to Josh Emmett. That was a fight that I thought he pretty clearly won. But there's a big question with where is Calvin Kattar right now at the age of 36, coming off his serious knee injury, I believe an ACL tear. And where is Aljamain Sterling at this point in his career now that the belt is past him? He's not a threat to win the 145-pound belt. Not up here, man. I don't think he's getting past guys like Volkanovski or Pereira, or I mean, even some of these other grapplers up here at 145 who aren't going to be as impressed with his grappling chops, and certainly not with his sub 25% takedown accuracy. Even the grappling efficiency. I mean, if you have 136 takedown attempts and your opponents only have 42, you should have like at least 75% control time, and he's got 62% control time. So I think there's just too many questions on either side for me to be confident about who wins this fight. Because if I thought Calvin Kattar was that much better of a striker at distance than Aljamain Sterling, I'd be picking him to win this fight pretty confidently. But Aljo can win some minutes at range. I mean, he stays very busy there. He's got he lands 6 distance strikes per minute and only absorbs 3.6. He throws a lot of kicks. He's not, like dangerous at distance striking range. He's not going to knock anyone down or knock anyone out, but he will stay busy. He's accurate. He's defensively responsible. And, I think he can, win some minutes. He'll probably lose moments at range, But I mean, I'm going to pick Calvin Kattar here because I do think that he's the better striker. I think he's got a durability advantage here for sure if he doesn't get submitted. And I think that Sterling's grappling and ability to get fights to the ground is going to be something that he's going to struggle with here at the featherweight division. And I'm going to pick Calvin Kattar to win this fight by decision. All right, so we're going to go the Boston finisher, Calvin Kattar, to win this one by decision with very low confidence, though. I really want to see Calvin Kattar come back from this knee injury, and then I want to see, Aljo kind of make this featherweight, see how he looks up here at featherweight, because we don't really know that yet. I mean, he's a big bantamweight, but he's not going to be a big featherweight. I want to see how the size looks, and I want to see if there's still any fire left, because once you've relinquished the championship, I get the impression that some of these guys, he doesn't want to cut weight anymore, even though I don't remember him ever missing 135. He doesn't want to make that cut anymore. So with the championship in the rearview mirror and him not wanting to cut weight anymore, I want to see how much he wants it. So missing a ton of information. I feel not compelled at all to gamble on this fight, and I'm very not confidently picking Kattar by decision here. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. Aljo didn't shoot, but he also won round 1 against O'Malley unanimously. What? He did? That's not how it looked to me. It looked like Aljo lost that round pretty. Maybe I'll have to go back and watch it. But yeah, he shot like 10 seconds left in the round, which made no sense to me. Sterling has 3 more potential losses on his record. It's he got the wins. Just something to keep. Yeah, I agree with that, man. Yeah, Aljo better hope he gets those takedowns for sure. And 415, this is easy money for Aljo. Kattar doesn't get taken down, but he doesn't fight guys that take you down and Henry. Yeah, that's true. That's true. He's only seen 23 takedown attempts in 12 fights. So it's not like his opponents have been busy wrestling against him. That's a good point, John. House of Grind saying, great fight to talk about, not bet on. Yeah, I agree, man. I'm not betting on that fight. The Kattar leg injury worries me. If Aljo is shooting single legs, Kattar will be posting on that injured back leg. Will that leg be able to hold weight, or will he just fall over to protect it? Well, keep in mind, he has been out a year and a half now, Paku. So this thing should be healed. He should have been able to heal it up and now have enough time to strengthen it, be used to being athletic and training twice a day on this thing, have a full camp. I think he'll be ready to go, but we'll see, man, because if he is getting in on those single legs, that's going to be annoying trying to balance on that one leg and hop around. I know Aljo's wrestling stats aren't good, but he out-wrestled Henry Cejudo. But I mean, like, Henry, I don't know, man. Henry's old right now. And yeah, the stats are bad. The efficiency numbers are bad. Aljamain needs to get to your back. I mean, don't forget, Aljamain Sterling got out-wrestled by Brian Caraway. I know it was a long time ago, but Brian out-grappled Aljamain Sterling. So, I mean, like, if Aljo was not getting to your back, I mean, is he winning minutes with wrestling? Is he winning? Is he landing a shit ton of ground and pound? The answer is not really. So, I mean, like, he may have out wrestled, on paper, Henry Cejudo, but Henry also landed, he also is a flyweight who is very competitive in the striking with him as well. Yeah, and Kattar may be regressing, and in that injury, I mean, at his age, Dogfather, yeah, I mean, I'm worried about that because Kattar's never been like this lockdown minute winner at range. He will get outstruck, he will get outlanded, and he's had some interesting performances where he kind of overperforms in the boxing, then he kind of underperforms in it, and it's hard to know which one is going to show up. Think about who Aljo is landing those strikes on, my guy. Dudes who are much smaller than him. That bullshit striking ain't gonna fly against someone like Kattar. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. This fight feels like a pass, and I agree with you, man. We got Cuban Assassin saying Aljo is a head case. We'll find out, man. We got Golden Octagon saying, "Oi, just now getting a chance to stop in his 300 fight week. Time to take back 300 times what the book you've taken from me over the years. Let's get it. I want to be chilling out with the Golden Octagon on Friday, doing his post weigh-in show. So we're going to talk about these fights a little bit more. We got Broke DGen saying before O'Malley, Sterling was 15-3 in the UFC with 2 split decision losses, and then Marias Lucky knew that was a kick. Yeah. And yeah, one of those split decision losses came to Brian Caraway. And one of those wins was a DQ where he was getting his ass shaved for 4 full rounds by Peter Yan. And the other win against Peter Yan, I thought he lost the first, 4th and 5th rounds of that fight. So yeah, I'm not. I mean, like Sterling, yeah, could be 16-1. He could also be like fucking 12-6. So I don't know, man. I'm not a big fan of Sterling, and up a weight class, there's even more questions. Literally could have been 18-0. Literally could have been 12-6. Henry is and shit, man. He could be 11-7 because that fucking Cejudo fight could have easily been called for Cejudo. Henry is a munchkin, bro, and has fought at 125. I bet Aljo, he can backpack him at least. Yeah, that's one thing he does very well is he gets on people's backs, and we'll see if he can do that to Calvin Kattar. And ring a ding ding, you guys, a $10 donation from my guy, the Golden Octagon, saying, thanks for everything, Weezy. You're the best. Appreciate you, my man. Thank you for hanging out, and we will be hanging out some more on Friday. Not in the AM, bro, saying the most impressive Aljo's wrestling is when he took Sandhagen's back. Yes, that was phenomenal, and that was a great finish. Broke DGen saying Aljo ground and pounded Dillashaw, who in my opinion was juiced up again and in great shape. Yes, Dillashaw was always juiced up. K-Dog saying it seems like Dana did Kattar a favor to make his return on this card just for being a New England guy in the company, man. Yeah, it's good that he's on that UFC 300 card, and Calvin Kattar always delivers with great fights. All right, you guys, let's go to the next fight, and it's going to be an absolute banger. We got Jiri Prochazka, one of my favorite fighters in the entire promotion, at plus 101, going up against Aleksandar Rakic, minus 121, a slight favorite here, and the fight doesn't go to decision here, and minus 190 for this fight. Did I get the pick in here? Yes, we did. All right, so let's get the stats up on the screen. And there they go. And let's start talking about the trends in this fight after I get a sip of water. All right. Jiri is coming off his first loss since back in 2015 when he lost to King Mo in a Grand Prix. The same night, he had already beaten Vadim Nemkov. So that's, the first loss since losing to King Mo, and King Mo was his second fight that night. The first fight that he had that night was against Vadim Nemkov. Jiri has won 13 of his last 14 fights. He's the former light heavyweight champion, but he had to vacate the title due to a serious shoulder injury he suffered after beating Glover Teixeira to win the belt. So Jiri took 17 months off between fights to rehab that shoulder, and when he was knocked out in the second round by the current champ, Alex Pereira, as a plus 105 underdog back in November of 2023. That killed his 13-fight winning streak that he was on. Now, Rakic is on a 2-year layoff after tearing the ACL in his right knee in the Jan Blachowicz fight back in May of 2022. Rakic's only 2 recent losses come as a result of that knee injury and a close split decision loss to Volkan Ozdemir back in 2019. So we have a shoulder injury that is now healed, but still could potentially be a concern for the Jiri side. And he's also coming off a knockout loss, is Jiri. And then on the Prochazka, on the Rakic side, we've got him coming off that knee injury and basically a 2-year layoff due to that knee injury. So But with the post-USADA era, we have to be prepared for the possibility that these guys, Prochazka and Rakic, will be ready to go and looking 100%. Rakic a small favorite here over Jiri at the moment. Now, Prochazka is almost a year younger than Aleksandar Rakic. He's got a 2-inch reach advantage over Aleksandar, and he's the younger guy and the more experienced fighter. 17 more fights as a pro, 1 hour more of cage time. He's the more opportunistic finisher. Jiri has finished 28 of his 29 pro wins inside the distance, 3 submissions, 25 knockouts. He's a wild man. He's durable and can cause back and forth wars where he outlasts his opponents and finds an explosive knockout standing up in the clinch or with ground and pound. Jiri always finds the finish. It's how he wins fights. He's all offense, no defense. It's impossible to replicate his style and an unorthodox striking in the gym. The dude is an absolute unicorn. And he's high volume and also a high accuracy striker. He's got serious power in his hands, elbows, knees, and kicks. He lands almost 7 distance strikes per minute spent at distance on 13.12 attempts. And that's both well above average for the division. He's 53% accurate, and he's got 2 UFC knockdowns and 2 UFC wins by way of knockout. His highlight reel finishes Volkan Ozdemir with a perfect right hand and Dominic Reyes with a spinning elbow are testament to how scary Jiri's power is and the different ways that he can end your night. Jiri has an impressive positive 1.36 distance striking differential in the UFC, despite the fact that his defense is non-existent. Jiri keeps his hands down. He blocks punches with his face, but he's durable, unorthodox, and powerful, and it's worked very well for him so far as a professional. His 25-3 record to the knockout is a testament to that. Now, Jiri has above average grappling efficiency. He only gets 25% of the total takedowns in his fights, and he only attempts 17 of the total takedown attempts in his fights, but he's managing to win over 45% of the control time positions. So he's got a good get-up game when he gets taken down, and he can hold you down and land big ground and pound when he's on top, as evidenced by his 3.88 clinch and ground strikes landed per minute, which is like about more than twice the divisional average. And Jiri has fought, beaten, and lost to the better win-loss ratioed competition in the UFC, and his pre-UFC strength of schedule is much better than Aleksandar Rakic's as well. So Jiri's way more experienced and way more well-tested without question compared to Rakic. Now, Rakic is going to be 1 inch taller than Jiri. He's got the UFC experience advantage with 4 more fights at the UFC level and 40 more minutes of octagon time. And he's the better minute winner wherever the fight goes, most likely. Alex is 4-1 to the decision as in the UFC, while Jiri has only seen 2 decisions in his entire 34 fight pro career. So Rakic has got a positive 1 distance striking differential with 4 knockdowns for and only 1 allowed. And he wins over 90% of the control time positions in his fights. So he's done a great job of outworking his opponents wherever the fight goes. On the feet, Alex has great power and really dangerous calf kicks, which we've seen Jiri struggle with to defend in the past. Both of these guys are dangerous and powerful strikers here, but Alex won't be out of his depth at range versus Jiri. He's way more defensively responsible, and the calf kicks will add up quickly if Jiri doesn't address them. And Alex is the better minute winner in the grappling exchanges. Jiri's hard to hold down, but Alex averages 39% control time for and only allows 4% control time to his opponents while showing 90% takedown defense on 20 attempts against. So Alex is efficient at keeping fights standing when he wants it there and finding ways to win minutes with control time while landing almost 3 clinch and ground strikes landed per minute. So 2 top 5 light heavyweights squaring off here, and it should be a Donnybrook, like all Jiri fights. Jiri's a wild man. It's hard to technically break down his fights because he doesn't fight like anyone else. You know he's going to be all offense, have no regard for defense or personal safety, land big shots from awkward angles with unorthodox techniques. Rakic is a smart, athletic, and talented fighter. He has power, explosiveness, and he has the capability to win minutes at range and with his wrestling and grappling. Rakic coming off a 2-year layoff against an opponent like Jiri is very concerning, in my opinion. Jiri does not give you time to work your way into fights. He makes you react to him, and ring rust is a real thing. Alex could have a hard way finding his, or have a hard time finding his way into this fight. I love the length, the experience, the strength of schedule, and power advantages that Jiri has in this fight. His only recent loss is to the current champ, and a win here could get Jiri a rematch. I favor Rakic's minute-winning capabilities, especially in the grappling. However, if only 2 of Jiri's 34 fights have ever went to decision, what does that really mean? I have to go with Jiri here. The ring rust, the serious knee injury, and 2-year layoff bring too many questions against a unique talent like Jiri. So I'm picking Jiri to win this fight by 2nd round knockout. So Prochazka by KO in round number 2 is the pick here. All right. Let's see. Yeah. Aljo not a threat enough to get on the feet to get Kattar down. Yeah, I agree. House of Grind saying Yuri's so good. Rakic off the knee injury. Come on. Yeah, I'm with you, man. Golden Octagon saying he ran out of trees. There's only Rakic left. It's his destiny. That's for sure, man. Praduman Singh in the room saying, I think Rakic is going to chew up Jiri's leg. Yeah, I think that he might too. Jiri's leg defense is 17.24%. And Jiri has only thrown just 9 leg kicks in his UFC career. Jiri's head defense is also just 44.71 versus Rakic's 67.25. Yes, those were all excellent points, but if Alexander comes out and doesn't set up those calf kicks, Jiri's going to be countering and landing big. And the thing is that Jiri's so durable, I don't think Rakic is going to like getting hit by him. You know, you saw like Rakic kind of really have a difficult time dealing with somebody like Volkan Ozdemir, who Prochazka went through, you know, like that. Rakic is very dangerous. He's very smart. And those low leg kicks of his are going to be a big problem for Jiri. But I think that if he goes to them too often and doesn't set them up, that it's just going to make it that much easier for Jiri to find the big shot in this fight. Gus saying late into the 2nd round, maybe. We got Real Fight Picks saying Jiri's the most unproven champ ever besides Brock Lesnar. Give me Rakic. That's just completely untrue. Jiri is 3 times more tested than Alexander Rakic is. Now, I know you're saying as a champ, but he's way more proven than even Alex Pereira just because of the amount of fights that this guy has, Real Fight Picks. Keep in mind, 34 fights as a professional. And when you look at this guy's record, look at the names that he's fighting. Jiri Prochazka fought everybody on the regional scene. I mean, CB Dalloway, former UFC fighter. Fabio Maldonado, former UFC fighter. He fought King Mo twice. High-level Bellator fighter Brandon Halsley. Jake the Honey Bear Hune. Bruno Capoloza. Carl Albrechtsen. There's another King Mo fight. He beat Vadim Nemkov. He beat Satoshi Ishii. Darko Stosic, a draw against Mikhail Mokhtanin. Tomas Pens. I mean, like, you look at these names, the loss to another UFC fighter back in 2012 to Bojan Veliknovic. This guy has fought literally everybody. He is the opposite of unproven. He's got so much experience, and he's starching all of these hoes. I mean, like these are the top notch regional scene competition that you can find outside the UFC. Not only did Prochazka fight all of these guys, he beat all of these guys. You know, I mean, like he beat Vadim Nemkov, you know, one of the best fighters in the world years ago, you know. So he's not unproven. He's way more proven than most of these guys in this division right now. My worry is a Rakic head kick, which will put out Jiri. That could absolutely do that. I tend to think if Jiri ate Alex calf kicks, he should be fine here. And yeah, I think that was going to be the case too. And I think, Dogfather, that if Rakic is not smart about how he sets up those calf kicks, he's going to be eating big counter shots. Jiri at plus money for me. He'll KO Rakic before Rakic can take out his legs. I'm with you, Gabriella. I think Rakic got Jiri covered everywhere. Weezy, I love Jiri. He's exciting to watch, but I think he gets chinned here late. Well, we'll see, man. It's a fun fight, and this is a very high-level fight with great matchmaking. So this is going to be a great one for the fans. Most unproven champ is Alex Pereira, destroyed by Izzy with hammer fist, not waking up. Yeah. John saying Jiri just holds his hands by his fucking hips is all. I just don't understand. Yeah, he just doesn't care about defense at all. Tehran actually thinks Sterling gets it done. Broke D-Gen saying John Barker, you don't understand because he's not one of the best strikers in the world. Yeah. Yeah, he gets to do it, right? You know, Dennis saying I think Rakic KO at plus 225 might be a shot I take. Broke D Jensen. If Rakic then wins, I think he'll try to get the wrestling going and hold down Jiri, win by decision. Yeah, I think I could see him trying to do that, but I think Jiri will just keep getting back up. I've trained all over the country and across the world, homeboy. I know a thing or two. I also know blocking punches with your face isn't smart. Yeah, he does that, and he keeps the hands down by the hips. It's everything that anybody who's trained striking will tell you. You just don't do those things. Yet, Jiri's 25-3 to the KO as a professional. So he's definitely doing something right. He's definitely got that gift that allows him to be able to do things that are fundamentally wrong and still not get served for it. Wow, to not realize the depth of that regional strength of schedule. That's pretty dope. Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, man, his regional strength of schedule is incredible. Jiri wins this, says MMA Hedge Funds. Jiri's been honestly destroying for a while. We're just now in the big leagues. Yup. Dennis saying took Brundage by KO round one at plus 5,500, down to plus 3,000 now. Prayers. Yeah, I love that line at plus 5,500. Yeah, I know. Straight bangers is right. We haven't even hit the main card yet, but let's hit that main card. Let's move on to this next fight, which is going to be Bo Nickal at minus 2,300 going up against my guy Cody Brundage, the plus 1,100 underdog here. Fight doesn't go to decision. Juice to the tits at minus 1,600. Cody Brundage, friend of the show here, squaring off against one of the most hyped fighters to ever set foot into the UFC here in Bo Nickal. And Bo is probably the most hyped prospect on the entire UFC roster at the moment. And the UFC is basically screaming that fact right into your fucking face by putting Bo on the main card of UFC 300 by way of wins over stalwart UFC greats like Jamie the Nightwolf Pickett and Valentine the Animal Woodburn. Bo is the real deal, though. He's a three-time NCAA Division I champion, national champion, the 2019 Dan Hodge Award winner, several other freestyle wrestling accolades, too many to mention here. Bo is 5 wins and 0 losses as a pro. His entire pro MMA career spans 6 minutes. 5 fights, 5.98 minutes. So he's got wins on Dana White's Contender Series over Zach Borrego as a minus 1,600 favorite by first round rear naked choke. He got another win on Dana White's Contender Series over Donovan Beard as a minus 2,800 favorite. First round triangle choke for that win. He won his UFC debut over Jamie Pickett as a minus 2,000 favorite by first round arm triangle. And back in July of 2023, he starched Port Valentine Woodburn in 38 seconds as a minus 1,600 favorite. This time, Bo is facing Cody Brundage, who is on a 2-fight winning streak, against Zach Reese as a plus 185 underdog by a spectacular first-round slam KO and a DQ win over Jacob Malkoon due to punches to the back of the head. Prior to that, Cody was on a 3-fight losing streak against Mihail Oleksiejczuk, Rodolfo Vieira, and a god-awful showing against Special Delivery Dumbass as a minus 190 favorite. So Cody is the far more experienced and tested fighter going into this spotlight matchup on the UFC 300 main card versus Bo Nickal, but the bookies currently have him sitting as a plus 1,100 underdog on the money line to the minus 2,200 favorite in Bo Nickal. Now, Bo Nickal is going to be 1.5 years younger, 1 inch taller, and he's going to have a 4-inch reach advantage over Cody. He's the southpaw in this southpaw versus orthodox matchup is Bo, and he's an elite athlete, one of the best college freestyle wrestlers to ever put on a singlet. He's flashed really crisp striking in the minuscule amount of tape that there is to watch on him, and we know that the wrestling and submission grappling is ready for the UFC. He's making it look almost too easy so far, and the reputation this kid has precedes him, and he's treating his opposition accordingly. Eventually, at some point, some chinks in the armor are going to show as he climbs the ladder of the UFC middleweight division. But as of right now, this kid can do no wrong, and the money line accurately reflects what we've seen from this kid in the cage so far. So Cody Brundage, though, has got the overall experience advantage with 10 more fights and 100 more minutes of pro cage time. And he's got the UFC experience advantage with 6 more UFC fights and about 50 more minutes of octagon time. And Cody has solid UFC distance striking metrics. He's got a positive 1.68 distance striking differential with 40% accuracy and way above average 67% distance striking defense. He's landed 3 knockdowns in 8 UFC fights, and he finished Tresean Gore with ground and pound after dropping him with a pretty counter right hook, and he finished Zach Reese in the first round last time out with a beautiful slam KO after Zach put him in a triangle. We even saw Cody drop Rodolfo Vieira, who's notoriously durable, when they fought. So Cody has demonstrated over an 8-fight UFC sample size that his striking is UFC level and that he can be dangerous with his stand-up. And Cody has some wrestling accolades of his own. He's a 2-time Division II national qualifier from Newberry University, and he's averaging 2.53 takedowns per 15 minutes on 4.5 attempts. His takedown accuracy is at 56%, which is very good, and defense is at 73%, both way above average for the division, and he stays busy attempting 1.13 submissions per 15 minutes, and he does have 1 UFC win by way of submission. And Cody definitely has fought the much tougher level of competition, both overall and in his wins at the UFC level. In summary, Bo should win this fight. Cody's biggest weakness as a fighter is that he's a fish out of water when he's put on his back, like a lot of wrestlers are. Mihail Oleksiejczuk absolutely destroyed Cody with ground and pound when he reversed him. And then we saw Special Delivery Dumbass rack up 11 minutes and 8 seconds of control time on Cody, even though he completed exactly 0 takedowns against Cody. And that's because Cody loves to jump guillotine. And when he does it unsuccessfully, he winds up on his back and he has nothing for his opponents while there. So if Bo can just get Cody on his back, he could probably finish this fight shortly thereafter. So that fact cannot be ignored. So I will pick Bo to win this fight. That being said, let me just play devil's advocate here on a couple of things. Cody is far more experienced as a mixed martial artist, both as a pro and at the UFC level. He's fought scary dudes before, and he has come out the winner in a few of those fights. Guys like Jacob Malkoun, Rodolfo Vieira, Mihail Oleksiejczuk are really tough opponents. And Cody has had some success in both the Mihail and Rodolfo fights, and he has had great wins over Trayshawn Gore, Dalcha Lungiambula, and Zach Reese. Cody can wrestle too. He's fought the way better dudes. And if we're being honest, he's probably the better striker just because he's been training longer and has proven it against higher level UFC guys than Bo has. But obviously, that's up for debate. From a betting perspective, this is dog or pass for me. You don't lay minus 2,200 on a money line ever. You don't parlay it either. We don't bet minus 900 inside the distance lines. And let's face it, trying to pick between a KO and a sub is a dodgy prospect at best. I know it sounds silly, but in my opinion, the best bet for this fight is the Cody Brundage money line at plus 1,200 for 0.25 units. Small sprinkle. You're getting the more experienced fighter with the better striking who's fought the much better brand of competition. If you're wrong, you're out a quarter unit. But if you're right, you come out looking like a genius. I'm picking Bo to win this fight, but I might actually get to a small bet on friend of the show, Cody Brundage's money line here. It's a fun fight. I can't wait to see what Bo Nickal has in store for us under the bright lights on Saturday. And I will pick Bo to win this fight by first round knockout. But I think the bet will probably be a quarter unit on Cody's money line. He's plus 1,100 on Bet Online, but he's plus 1,200 on Bet Rivers. And a quarter unit to win 3 might be something I take a shot at here just because Cody does have a lot of advantages in this fight on paper, and there's still a lot of unanswered questions on a guy in Bo Nickal who only has 5 pro fights in less than 6 minutes of professional mixed martial arts cage time. So, yeah, Nickal by first round knockout is the direction that I am going here. And we've got just a ton of comments here. All right. I'm going to move on to the next fight, you guys. We got 87 of you hanging out live in here, and we're going to start talking about Charles do Bronx Oliveira versus Arman Tsarukyan, an absolutely phenomenal fight. Charles Oliveira, the plus 190 underdog here, going up against Tsarukyan, the minus 225 favorite. Fight doesn't go to decision, juiced up at minus 285 right now. So let me get the stats up on the screen for you guys. And let's first start talking about the trends. Charles Oliveira has won 11 of his last 12 fights. And he finished 10 of those 11 wins in that stretch. His only loss in that stretch came against Islam Makhachev, who also beat Arman Tsarukyan back in 2019 when Arman made his UFC debut at the age of 23. The only guy Charles did not finish was Tony Ferguson in this stretch, and he had Tony in an armbar that the entire division but Tony taps to. Charles is a finisher. His pressure-heavy style causes chaos, and it brings opportunistic finishes. Charles' last 5 finished wins came against the likes of Kevin Lee, Michael Chandler, Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, and Beneil Dariush. Charles isn't just beating top 5 guys, he's running through them. Arman Tsarukyan, on the other side, is 8-2 in the UFC thus far, with his only losses coming against Islam and Garbrandt, both by decision. Arman has only been finished once as a professional, and it was in his second pro fight back in 2015 when he was just 18 years old. He later went on to avenge that loss in a rematch a couple of years later. Oliveira finishes fights, and Tsarukyan is very difficult to finish. Arman is on a 3-fight winning streak right now over Demiris Magulov, Joaquim Silva, and Beneil Dariush. And the last 2 wins were finishes for Arman. Right now, Tsarukyan is a minus 225 favorite over the former champ in Charles Oliveira. So Charles is going to be 3 inches taller and have a 2-inch reach advantage over Arman Tsarukyan. He's got the overall and UFC experience advantages here. He's the former champion, won 11 of his last 12 fights, and the UFC record for most wins by submission. Charles Oliveira is an absolute legend, and he's got way above average power numbers for the division. The distance knockdown percentage is 2.01% for Charles. He's landed 7 UFC knockdowns, and 4 of his 18 UFC wins since 2013 come by way of knockout. Charles is very aggressive on the feet. He pressures on nonstop, and he's willing to take one to give one. He uses that aggression on the feet to force clinch entries, opponents' takedown attempts, and scrambles, which is when he looks to use his opportunistic submission game to finish fights. Charles' striking style really suits his strengths as a fighter. And Charles, as I mentioned before, is a very opportunistic submission grappler. He attempts 2.54 submissions per 15 minutes over a massive sample size. That's 2.11 more than the divisional average. And his 16 UFC wins by way of submission is a promotional record. Charles uses that hyper-aggressive, pressure-heavy striking style to set up scrambles or opponents' takedown attempts, and he uses submission attempts to either finish the fight, set up sweeps, or get back to his feet. His output in all grappling categories is above average for the division, but he does have below average grappling efficiency. And that's because he's willing to lose minutes off his back playing BJJ. Arman is the kind of opponent who can exploit that weakness in order to win minutes with ground and pound and top control while staying safe from submissions. It's going to be interesting to see how Arman deals with the nonstop offensive output of Charles Oliveira. And Charles is a former champion, and he's got 24 UFC fights since 2013. He's fought the far more experienced competition, according to my metric, over the long haul. Now, Arman Tsarukyan is 7 years younger than Charles. He's got the durability differential here. Arman has only been finished once in 3 professional losses, while Oliveira was finished in 8 of 9 career losses. Arman's UFC distance striking metrics are superior to Oliveira's almost everywhere but power. His distance striking differential is better. It's positive 2.11 compared to negative 0.82 for Charles. And the defense at 60% is better than Charles at 53. And the distance strike attempt differential, which is positive 5.36, that number minus that number, compared to negative, negative 1.53 for Oliveira. So he just throws a lot more output, does Tsarukyan, compared to Charles Oliveira. And Arman has flashed power in his own right. He's landed 3 UFC knockdowns in 10 UFC fights, and 4 of his 8 UFC wins come by way of knockout, including highlight reel knockouts over Beneil Dariush by a beautiful step-in knee, and he dropped Christos Giagos with a sweet left hook, then swarmed with ground and pound to finish that fight. Arman's stand-up is already damn good, and he's only 27 years old and getting better all the time. And Arman's done an excellent job of winning minutes and moments with his wrestling and ground and pound. He gets 3.4 takedowns per 15 minutes on 9.35 attempts, and he outcontrols his opponents 38.5% to 11%, winning over 78% of the control time positions in his fights. He displays above average grappling efficiency and takedown defense, and nobody has ever attempted a submission or reverse positions against him. So I definitely rate Arman as the more efficient minute winner in the grappling exchanges. Arman in his 10 UFC fights has actually faced and beaten the better win-loss ratioed competition compared to Oliveira, which is very impressive considering Charles is a former lightweight champion. So what a fight this is going to be. Both guys are elite. Oliveira is an elite moment winner and submission grappler, a former champion who's won 11 of his last 12 fights. He's 3 inches taller than Arman. He's got a 2-inch reach advantage over Arman. He's more experienced overall and in the UFC than Arman, and he's dangerous wherever the fight goes. But Tsarukyan is 7 years younger. He's a well-rounded fighter, and he's also a well-tested fighter. He's got the durability advantage, in my opinion, the minute-winning advantages on the feet and on the mat, and he, like Charles, has also fought a very good level of competition in his first 10 fights at the UFC level, that is. I like the finish-only prop for Charles Oliveira and the Tsarukyan by decision prop. I rate Tsarukyan as the better minute winner and Charles as the better moment winner. And Charles has shown much better durability and heart in his recent winning streak. So I think Arman is more likely to win by decision than finish. But I'm going to lean with the youth and minute winning advantages Arman has in this matchup. And I think that this is going to be a fight of the night candidate on this stacked card. The pick is going to be Arman Tsarukyan to win by decision. But I do have a 1-unit bet on Charles do Bronx Oliveira, the finish only prop at plus 165, because even though Charles has not been durable at the UFC level, I don't yet think that Tsarukyan is this murderous finisher. And I think that if Tsarukyan does win, he's going to win by decision here. And I like Tsarukyan by decision at plus 330 as a bet this week. And I already have 1 unit on Charles Oliveira's finish only prop at plus 165. All right. Let's see. We got Arman getting better at the stand-up. He's not going to fool around on the ground, I don't think. We got House of Grind saying, I think I'll lean on Arman here. It just seems like the right, and based on their skill sets, it's going to be close either way. High-risk submission guy. These fighters put themselves in harm's way, often leaning on their submission skills as they're out. Oliveira's scorecards equals no action. Plus 145 is interesting. It's a plus 165 on DraftKings right now. So that's something I would look into. I will show that one here to you because it is on my, if you go to the money line finish only there on DraftKings, you can scroll down here. And there it is. Charles Oliveira plus 165. See it right there. So that's a great line. Benil's chin is compromised. Wouldn't take much of that. This guy was competitive striking with Garbrandt. Yeah, both these guys knocked out Benil. Oliveira, I don't think it will go to a decision regardless of who wins. Yeah, I mean, the bookies like it to go to decision or to finish inside the distance, obviously. But it's my read. I'm going with Tsarukyan by decision. I don't think Tsarukyan's a great finisher yet. Got clipped by Silva. Charles going to outstrike him. Think he should wrestle. And Praduman Singh said Arman is going to sleep Oliveira under 1.5 rounds. Yeah, I'd be surprised if he did that. I don't think he's even the better striker in this matchup. I think if he does it, maybe it's with ground and pound, but I don't think he's going to be able to land much ground and pound because when he postures up, that's going to open up submission attempts for Oliveira. So, yeah, I think it's going to be Arman by decision, but I did bet that finish only prop. All right, let's get down to the next fight. It's going to be one of the last 3 fights of the night here. We got Justin Gaethje going against Max Holloway for the BMF belt. Gaethje minus 161 favorite. Holloway plus 141 the dog. Fight doesn't go to decision here, and minus 130 for this fight. Let's first start talking about the trends here. Justin Gaethje is hot right now. He's won 7 of his last 9 fights, and he's currently on a 2-fight winning streak over Rafael Fiziev as a plus 190 underdog And then he beat Dustin Poirier as a plus 125 underdog. So both of his last 2 wins coming as an underdog. His last 2 losses came against top-notch grapplers in Khabib Nurmagomedov and Charles Oliveira. But there's no grappling threat from Max here. He will be squaring off against Max Holloway for the BMF belt in a 5-round fight. Max is also on a 2-fight winning streak, and he's won 4 of his last 5. Max beat Arnold Allen by unanimous decision as a minus 180 favorite, and most recently back in August of last year, starched the Korean Zombie in the 3rd round as a massive minus 800 favorite. Max is coming up a weight class here and is a plus 141 underdog at the moment to Justin Gaethje. Now, Gaethje is going to have a 1-inch reach advantage. Justin is the better finisher as a pro. He's 20-2 to the KO, and he's landed 6 knockdowns in 12 UFC fights. He's got a 0.8% distance knockdown percentage, and 6 of his 8 UFC wins come by way of knockout. Justin not only throws with power in both hands, and his head kicks are nasty as seen in the most recent Poirier fight, but his low leg kicks are a game changer, and they help slow down the movement of his opponents, which sets up the big power shots later in the fight. There's a very big power differential in favor of Justin Gaethje in this matchup. And Justin's 4-0 to the decision as a pro, so he can clearly win minutes as well as moments at distance striking range. And according to my metric, Gaethje has fought and beaten the more experienced level of competition with the better win-loss ratios. Even though both margins are small, it's important to note that Gaethje is the natural lightweight and Max is taking this fight up a weight class. So there's the size difference in opponents to take into account as well. Max Holloway, 3 years younger, and he's also got the overall and UFC experience advantages in comparison to Justin Gaethje. Max Holloway has the durability advantage, as he's never been knocked out in 32 pro fights. He's absorbed almost 2,000 significant strikes in the UFC since 2013, and he's never once been knocked down. He's got a brick for a head and a ton of heart. Max is unquestionably one of the most durable fighters to ever set foot in the octagon. And Max's striking has always been where he makes his money. He once famously yelled, "I'm the best boxer in the UFC," late in the Calvin Kattar fight, a dominant ass shaving by Max over 5 rounds, where he outlanded Calvin 445 to 133 in significant strikes, and he won a 50-43 unanimous decision. Max has a positive 2.07 distance striking differential over a 342-minute sample size of distance striking stats. He lands 7.37 distance strikes per minute on 16.08 attempts, and he's got way above average 46% accuracy and solid 59% defense. Max has excellent boxing, and he's capable of winning minutes as well as moments, as 9 of his 18 UFC wins since 2013 come by way of KO. Max is never out of his depth at distance striking range due to his combination of accurate boxing, durability, and output. So this is a hell of a BMF title matchup. Max coming up a weight class to 155 to face one of the hardest hitters in the lightweight division. Neither one of these guys offensively wrestles much, and both guys have great takedown defense. So it's safe to say that the superior striker is going to win this fight. Justin has the power differential in his favor. He's got those nasty low leg kicks and the more dangerous and active kicking game in general. And he's the natural 155er in this matchup who has a slight strength of schedule advantage. Now, on the Holloway side, you love the fact that he's not only 3 years younger than Justin, but he also has the more experienced fighter overall and in the UFC. Max has always been an efficient minute winner at distance striking range, and his durability is legendary. I have a feeling this fight goes to decision, even though none of Justin Gaethje's 9 fights in the UFC that were scheduled for 5 rounds have seen the scorecards. Both these guys are durable. And even though Max is more durable than Justin, I think Max doesn't have the kind of power to put Justin out. And we could see Justin be the first guy to knock out Max if he lands a big head kick or if he shuts down his calf with repeated kicks. But Max will know those are coming and should have a plan for them. This is going to be such a fun fight, but I'm going to lean to the Gaethje side here because I think he's going to land the bigger shots, do more damage, and his experience fighting the bigger, stronger strikers at the UFC level should come in handy versus Max Holloway. I think Max's durability holds up, but Justin's power and leg kicks will be too much for Max to handle, and I'm going to pick Justin Gaethje to win this fight by decision. So Justin, the highlight, Gaethje by decision, which is wild because there have been 9 UFC fights for Justin Gaethje, and all 9 of them have finished in under 5 rounds. Then I'm talking about 9 fights scheduled for 5 rounds for Gaethje. So, yeah, man, the prop template really likes this under 3.5 here at plus 140, but I got a funny feeling that this fight's going to go to decision. And even though prop template doesn't like this because 0 of 9 Gaethje fights have finished inside the distance, I don't think Holloway has the power to finish Gaethje. And I don't know if anybody's ever going to finish Max Holloway. So I do like the fight goes to decision here at plus money. But the pick is going to be Justin Gaethje by decision here. All right. Let's see. Yeah. He's an artist, all right. That's for sure, man. Yeah, but Gaethje head kick Poirier into oblivion. Yes, sir. The trip was awesome. Amazing. Italy is the most beautiful country I've ever been in. And I've been to France. I've been to Colombia. I've been to Greece. Been to the United States. I've been to Mexico. I've been to Canada. I've never seen anything like Italy. It's absolutely gorgeous. House of Grind Studio. Can Max lean on his chin for 3-4 rounds and then take over midway through the 4th? I don't know. Neither do I, man. Afterthought, if he does wrestle a lot, he's given Bronx probably his path to victory. Let's see here. Matt, as sad as it is, Max is going to be TKO'd here. Leg kicks are Holloway's kryptonite. Justin's leg kicks will slow down Holloway's movement, and that chin will be cracked here. That'd be something if he was the first person to crack the chin, but it could happen up at 155. Let's see, we're already 2 hours and 17 minutes into this show. Appreciate all of the all the comments, you guys. I just don't have time to read all of them right here. But let's move on to this next fight, which is going to be Weili Zhang at minus 500 going up against Yan Xiaonan, the plus 375 underdog. The fight doesn't go to decision here, sitting at minus 155. And get those stats up on the screen. 83 of you guys hanging out in here live. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button. Hit that subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss out on any of the content here on this channel. Leave me a comment down below because I love interacting with you guys, especially for the biggest card of the year here at UFC 300. And please consider joining the Patreon. It's the best way to support this channel, and it'll get you access to these beautiful stats that you see here on this show that make you a better gambler by giving you access to all the information in one place at your fingertips so that you can make better gambling decisions on your own with all the necessary information to draw from to make your decisions. Join the Patreon and let's stack cash tickets like flapjacks together. But let's finish talking about these last 2 fights, and then I'll give you the underdog pick of the week, and then we'll finish up with Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. We've got the Weili Yan fight here. Zhang is 24-2 in her last 26 fights. She lost her pro debut, then went on an unprecedented 21 fight winning streak, She then lost back-to-back fights versus Thug Rose. The first one by first-round head kick, and then the second one by split decision as a minus 120 favorite. Since then, she's on a 3-fight winning streak where she has looked nothing short of dominant, shaving the asses of Joanna Jędrzejczyk as a minus 165 favorite by a violent second-round spinning back fist knockout. Carla Esparza by second-round rear naked choke as a minus 400 favorite. And then a pillar-to-post 5-round ass reaming of Amanda Lemos as a minus 330 favorite, where Zhang outlanded Amanda 163-24 in significant strikes. Zhang got 6 takedowns and over 16 minutes of control time in that fight. Now, Zhang is squaring off against her countrymate here in Yan Xiaonan, who is also on fire right about now. Yan has won 15 of her last 17 fights and is 8-2 in the UFC thus far. Yan is 2-2 in her last 4, dropping back-to-back fights against Carla Esparza by second-round ground and pound KO as a minus 135 favorite, and a split decision loss against Marina Rodriguez as a plus 230 underdog. She then won a 5-round majority decision over Mackenzie Dern as a plus 200 underdog and finished Jessica Andrade via first-round KO back in May of 2023 as a plus 150 underdog. Yan Xiaonan is a plus 375 underdog at the moment against Zhang Weili. Now, Weili has got the overall experience advantage here with 6 more fights and 30 more minutes of cage time. She's also been fighting for 5 years less than Yan has. So she's also been the busier pro. And Zhang is the more opportunistic finisher without question. Weili has finished 19 of her 24 pro wins inside the distance, 8 by submission and 11 by KO. And she's finished 4 of her 8 UFC wins. She's as dangerous on the mat as she is standing, and she's 4-1 in the UFC to the decision, and she wins minutes both at range and with her grappling. So Zhang is a very well-rounded fighter. Zhang has got excellent distance striking metrics with a positive 1.31 distance striking differential with 43% accuracy, 4 UFC knockdowns, a 0.65% distance knockdown percentage, and 2 of her 8 UFC wins come by way of knockout, including a highlight reel spinning back fist finish of Joanna and an absolute starching of Jessica Andrade in 42 seconds back in 2019 to win the strawweight championship. So Zhang does an excellent job of using her striking to set up the entries on her grappling, but she's perfectly capable of winning minutes and moments at distance striking range. And Zhang wins minutes and moments with her grappling, and she's looked, absolutely phenomenal there over her last 3 fights, landing 9 of 13 takedown attempts over that 3-fight stretch, racking up 53% control time, and she landed 144 ground strikes in those 3 fights. Zhang doesn't just get takedowns. She stays very busy while on top, landing 6.12, as we could see right here, clinch and ground strikes per minute, which is 3.46 more than the divisional average. Yan also has given up 400 or more seconds of control time. So that's like almost 7 minutes of control time in 4 of her 10 UFC fights. And she allows over 24% control time on the aggregate. So Weili should have the opportunity to get her grappling game going in this matchup if she doesn't feel like striking at range with Yan. And Weili is a current and former UFC champion, and she's fought the better level of UFC competition with the better win-loss ratios. As you can see here, 1.69 overall compared to 1.22 for Yan, and 1.61 ratio in Weili's wins compared to 1.08 for Yan Xiaonan. Now, Yan is an excellent minute winner in the distance striking exchanges, and she even has one UFC knockout win to her credit, starching Jessica Andrade in the first round of their fight. Jan has a positive 3 distance striking differential with 42.5% accuracy and 65.5% defense, both above average for the division. She stays very busy at range, attempting over 17 distance strikes per minute, and she lands 7.33 of them, way above average for the division, and she manages to keep her fight standing about 2/3 of her UFC octagon time. Jan is 9 wins and 1 loss to the decision as a professional, and that is evidence of her ability to keep fights standing where she is most comfortable, and there she's able to use her volume, accuracy, and defensive lateral movement to win the minutes of the fight, bank rounds, and win decisions. Zhang Weili has looked incredible lately. She's always had power on the feet, but lately she's getting takedowns, landing a ton of ground and pound, and finding submissions. These ladies are well matched in a lot of areas. They're identical in size. They have almost identical amounts of UFC experience. They're both excellent strikers capable of winning minutes and moments. But what sets these ladies apart is the differential in the wrestling and grappling games. Jan has gotten audited on the ground and given up over 6 minutes of control time 4 different times in the UFC. And Zhang is scary when she gets on top of her opponents. I don't think Zhang will be out of her depth on the feet in this matchup, but I do think Jan is pretty much fucked if Zhang gets on top, gets takedowns, top control. If in order to win, Jan is going to have to fight a perfect fight. Stay on her bike, move laterally, stay busy, stop the takedown attempts, and keep her back off the cage and pick Zhang apart for 5 rounds. And that is a possible outcome. Even if she does that, I could see Zhang being the one landing the bigger shots and optically looking better with her pressure and still getting a decision nod. What I think is way more likely to happen is Zhang uses that pressure, ducks under the strikes of Jan, gets takedowns, and just brutalizes Jan from top control and finishes with ground and pound. I think Zhang gets the job done inside the distance here, and I'm going to pick her to win by 3rd round KO. And there we go. Weili Magnum Zhang by 3rd round KO over Yan Xiaonan. All right. Did Lemos go to PFL? I don't know, man. I don't think so. House of Grind Studio saying thumbs and subbed. Appreciate you, House of Grind. Tehran saying Holloway getting knocked out would be shocking, just like when Ferguson got knocked out. Yeah, I hear you, man. I never thought anyone would knock out Tony Ferguson until Gaethje did it. Let's see here. We got Paku saying Jan is a sneaky dog here. I think she's the better striker. I'm not running to the bookies with the Weili ticket. Yeah, dude. Like what I said on Stat Diggers, Paku, was, if this fight stays standing for 5 rounds, it's a pick 'em, because Jan is that good of a striker. But I think Weili, the differential in the minute and moment winning across the grappling spectrum of this fight is where she's going to look her best. If Weili runs hard into the grappling and doesn't get clipped, it's a dominant win. Agreed. Got Zhang at minus 350, parlayed with a couple PFL faves. Okay. We got what I said is Jiri is too battle tested. Weili to win the UFC PI China Commercial Championship fight. Yes. China versus China. Love all the China title fights. Yes. Green King 220. I want to see Zhang get that hip toss like she did Jordan. Yeah, man, that was a great one, dude. That was judo at its best there. All right, you guys, let's get to the main event of the evening. The one around UFC 300, the one that the card was built around. Alex Poatan Pereira, minus 130. Jamal Hill, Sweet Dreams Hill, the pride of Grand Rapids, Michigan, plus 110 as the underdog. Fight doesn't go to decision at minus 450 for this fight. Let's start talking about the trends, because Alex Pereira just won the light heavyweight championship last time out against Jiri Prochazka, knocking him out in the second round as a minus 125 favorite. Alex is 6-1 in the UFC, with his only setback coming against Israel Adesanya by second round KO 3 fights ago as a plus 125 underdog. Pereira was a huge middleweight, but he moved up to light heavyweight 2 fights ago, edged out Jan Blachowicz via split decision back in July of 2023. He then KO'd Jiri to win the title in November. He'll be looking to make his first title defense against the former champion in Jamal Hill, who's on a 1 year and 3 month layoff because he ruptured his Achilles tendon back in July of 2023 in a basketball game. This injury took place less than 9 months ago, so his health and ability to perform at the highest level is in question for this fight. Jamal is on a 4-fight winning streak right now over names like Jimmy Crute, Johnny Walker, Thiago Santos, and he won the vacant light heavyweight championship after Viri vacated it over Glover Teixeira. He was a minus 140 favorite in that fight back in January of 2023. Alex right now is about a similar number, minus 134 favorite over Jamal Hill in the UFC 300 main event. Alex Pereira, the advantages that he has here is he's a high-level kickboxer. His MMA grappling is a work in progress at best, but that doesn't matter in this fight because Jamal doesn't grapple. This is going to be a 5-round kickboxing match, and Alex will be right in his element. Alex's left hook is deadly. If it lands, jaw help you. He has excellent calf kicks, footwork, distance management, and he has next-level power. He's gotten to be a 2-division champion in the UFC with no grappling whatsoever, so it's pretty obvious that his kickboxing is elite. And Alex has the UFC strength of schedule advantage, according to my metric. The combined records of his opponents is 61 wins and 28 losses, while for Hill, it's 66 wins and 50 losses. The ratio in his wins is a lot better than Hill as well, at 1.92 for Pereira, while it's 1.37, which is also solid for Jamal Hill. Now, Jamal Hill is going to be the southpaw in this southpaw versus orthodox matchup. He's going to have the overall experience advantage here with 3 more fights in almost 40 more minutes of cage time than Alex. And Jamal's UFC distance striking metrics are excellent. He has a mind-blowing positive 4.04 distance striking differential over a 55-minute sample size of distance striking. He lands 7.55 distance strikes per minute with 49% accuracy and almost a 1% distance knockdown percentage. Jamal has finished 4 of his 6 UFC wins by way of knockout, and he's never been dropped once in 8 UFC fights. Jamal throws straight shots. He stays extremely busy, attempting 15.45 distance strikes per minute, and his distance knockdown percentage is right in line with Pereira's. This is going to be a kickboxing match, and Jamal needs to avoid the calf kicks and the left hook of Pereira, but I think we can count on Jamal to do more and land more at range while also being just as likely to land the big shot. So I don't know who's going to win this fight. I'd pick Hill if it weren't for the Achilles injury. It's hard to know where the conditioning will be after rehabbing that kind of an injury, and Pereira's got nasty low leg kicks that he goes to quite a bit. Hill has struggled with calf kick defense in the St. Preux and Santos fights, and even though Teixeira only threw 4 calf kicks in their 5-round fight, you could see the ones that landed bothered Jamal. I think Jamal is actually the better kickboxer, which sounds strange to say, but he's much busier and faster than Alex. I love his body and head kicks, and his power numbers are on par with Pereira's at the UFC level. Alex has that kickboxing pedigree as well, though, and he doesn't have the recent injury problems that Hill has. I think the leg kicks will have a significant effect in this fight, and even though Hill is extremely durable, if Pereira lands that left hook clean, it's nighty-night no matter who you are. Hill tends to keep his right hand low, so I could see a counter left hook landing more than once in this fight. I think this fight ends in KO, but probably later on in the fight, either when Pereira slows Hill down with the leg kicks and then finds the big counter, or after Hill out volumes Pereira and maybe finds a big head kick or uppercut of his own. I think I'm going to stay away from this fight from a betting perspective because I could see it going either way. But the pick is going to be Alex Pereira to win this fight by 4th round knockouts. And that takes us through all 13 fights on this UFC 300 card. Let's save those picks and see what you guys are saying in the chat here. How can we predict this not knowing the status of that Achilles? I'm not going to try. Yeah, I feel the same way. I'm not confident about my pick either, man. Those sound all like bums. Very confident Hill clips him probably in the second. We got, it's volatile, especially with us missing the info on Jamal. Agreed, man. Broke DGen saying, I know Max Holloway has nearly 2,000 punches absorbed, but per year it's actually only like 160 punches. Yeah. Broke DGen when the UFC, a lot of guys took that many punches in one fight. True. Justin, we're going to see if true Monk with the power of the earth aura or energy against hood power and the power of malt liquor and Mad Dog 2020. We got drunken boxing in the room saying, Weezy, what's up, dude? Chaz Bono's manly beard with UFC judges. Even the judges don't know who won a fight. I lost 3 parlays to Walter Porker. Yeah. I think Hill's chin is better at this point. Agreed. Also staying away. Yes. Alex will be KO'd. It's a matter of time. What a card. Lots to talk about in almost every fight. Walter, what a bum. Xiaonan plus 31.5 significant strikes is a great pick, everyone. Yeah, that's not bad at all, especially if she can keep it standing. Cuban Assassin saying, I don't think Jamal Hill's training partners can compare to Alex's. Agreed. Real Fight Picks is on some underdogs. Michael Panza saying, I'm staying away, but if I had to pick, I would Pereira by TKO round 3. Not sure Hill is 100% going into the fight. Yep. All right, you guys. Let me give you a dog pick here real quick. The Bootsy Collins Memorial Dogs Are Barking pick of the week. And I had a hard time with this one, right? There's a couple of underdogs. Prochazka's an underdog, but just barely. I think Oliveira's a live underdog as a finish-only prop. I think Jim Miller's a live underdog as a finish-only prop, or even just straight on the money line. I think Moicano might even be able to win a decision or get a sub. But this week's, Bootsy Collins Memorial Dogs Are Barking pick of the week, it has to be Jim fucking Miller. At plus 164, we could just take the money line. He might land the bigger shots on the feet here. Bobby Green's a really smooth boxer, but he's not a big power guy. And he is hittable because he keeps his hands down. And Jim Miller is just very opportunistic. And he's just been on a roll. 5 of 6 of his last fights are wins. And all 5 of those wins come by way of finish. He's finding power shots on the feet. He's still a very opportunistic submission grappler. He's been talking about being on the UFC 300 card for a very long time. Bobby Green coming off a nasty knockout loss at the hands of Jalin Turner less than 4 months ago. I think a lot of things are lining up here on the Jim Miller side. Could he get picked apart for 3 rounds and lose a decision? Absolutely. Is plus 164 a pretty fat number for a guy who's been the hotter fighter lately, for a guy who's the more opportunistic finisher, for the guy who's the more dangerous grappler? I think it's a pretty good play. And if you don't want to even go on the plus 164, I think even better play is the Jim Miller finish only prop this week, which is sitting at plus 100 here. While it's minus 130 and let me look here. Finish only. minus 130 on Bet Online, and we can get it at plus 100 here on DraftKings. So your Bootsy Collins Memorial Dogs Are Barking pick of the week, after we hit Man and Fierro 2 weeks ago and took last week off, is going to be Jim fucking Miller, the money line at plus 164, which leaves us with one order of business left. It is going to be Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. You guys, who is going to win and win violently this week? Now, we know ass shaving of the week, we have to take all the women's fights and throw them out the window. So Andrade Rodriguez, not on the board. Holm Harrison, not on the board. Zhang versus Yan, not on the board. And then we got to take like Bo Nickal off the board. He's minus 2,200. I can't use him. The line is too wide. Also, yeah, so that kind of leaves us with, Alex Pereira as the ass shaving of the week. Justin Gaethje, I'm picking him to win. Would he be the ass shaving of the week? I'm picking Tsarukyan to win. No. I'm picking Prochazka to win. When he wins violently. So that's a good option. I'm picking Kattar to win, but nah, I'm not picking him to shave ass. Holm off the board. Yusuff Lopes, I could see that fight going either way. I'm picking Yusuff, but I'm not picking anybody to shave ass in that one. Jalin Turner is a possibility this week, but and I think if Jalin wins, it's going to be an early knockout win. So I think Jalin Turner is a great option for the ass shaving of the week this week, even though I could see him losing a decision by giving up takedowns and a ton of control time. I could see him getting submitted because Renato Moicano is an extremely opportunistic submission grappler. But I think that the more likely outcome there is Jalin getting a knockout. Can't use Andrade Rodriguez. Miller Green we already used for the dog pick of the week. Deiveson Figueiredo over Garbrandt. I'm picking Figueiredo to win, but I think it's going to be a low volume, kind of like a sniper, slow volume striking match here. So I think that we're going to go. I don't know. What do you guys think? We got Cuban Assassin is saying that Kattar KO's Aljo. We got Gabriella likes Justin Gaethje for the ass shaving of the week. Bobby is coming back hella soon. Yeah, man. Let's see here. We got Turner to shave the mohawk of of Renato Moicano. We got How's the Grind saying Figgy ass shaving. Guys, this week I'm going to do it with a guy who shaves ass on the regular. 25 wins in his career by KO. 3 wins by submission. 2 of this guy's 34 professional fights have ever even seen the scorecards. I don't think that Rakic is going to be able to take down Jiri and hold him there for long swaths of the fight. So I think that this fight's going to primarily take place on the feet. And I think eventually Jiri, with that completely impossible to train for striking style, finds the big shot that violently ends Aleksandar Rakic's night. Who knows if the knee is completely ready to go here. Jiri in the post-USADA era is something I really want to see. And I am picking the underdog in Jiri Prochazka as your Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. I've only got 2 bets so far, but there will be more coming. And right now it is a 2-leg parlay. I'm choosing violence, going the under 1.5 rounds in Nickal versus Brundage and the under 2.5 rounds in Rakic versus Prochazka. That comes out to plus 118. I bet that for 1 unit. I've also got the Oliveira scorecards equals no action at plus 165 for 1 unit. I'll be looking at a half unit bet on the Arman Tsarukyan decision prop at plus 330. I'll be looking at plus 150 for 1 unit. Fight goes to decision for the Garbrandt fight, which I think Garbrandt's chin problems are just a little bit overblown. and that Figueiredo's knockout power as a bantamweight is a little bit overblown. I see that being a low-volume striking match, and I'm picking that one to go to decision. So I like fight goes to decision there at plus 150. And I also like fight goes to decision for the Holm-Harrison fight at minus 115. But that, we did it, you guys, and this was a lot of work. I knew it was a lot of work. As you know, I write up these fights every week. And if you look here, these are my write-ups for the show. We read them all today. So this is everything. This is 28 pages of notes. I will post these to the Patreon after the show. I will put timestamps on this so you guys can skip through this extremely long video to get to particular breakdowns that you want to hear. But I appreciate 70 plus, 80 plus live viewers today. Very good for this show. Appreciate each and every one of you guys for tuning in, for watching, and for supporting the show. Thanks to Daz Files and Golden Octagon for the donations to the show today. Always is a big help, and appreciate you guys for your attention and for all the love and support on this channel and on the Patreon. Let's stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC 300. I will be back tomorrow on Pub Sports Radio, 8 o'clock Central Time for the DFS show, and then check back here 9:15 Central Time for a very special UFC 300 version of Propability, where we will go over all these time props, KO, sub, and decision props on all these fights to find the plus EV spots that'll help us all stack cash tickets like flapjacks. God bless each and every one of you guys. We got my guy Kyle Marley, Indiana's very own, saying 3 hours in, hardest working man in MMA. And there's a lot more shows to come this week, you guys. Appreciate all of you. Hit that thumbs up on your way out if you haven't already. Hit that subscribe if you haven't already, and leave me a comment down below. Love interacting with you guys. And I will see you guys right back here tomorrow for Propability for UFC 300. Have a great night, everybody, and we will talk to you guys soon. Good night.